Oh, I did it again. I got knocked off the YouTube in the middle of my story, and I just kept going on for another hour and a half before I realized that no one was chatting. Anyway, that's what happens when you got to agree on and not a live audience. But anyway, and it was a great story. It was about the boys from Brazil, about the master and the black magician. And I'm going to try and start over. Oh no, that's right, Twitchy. Oh no. But I have found often, back in the day when I was in universities writing things for other people, I was at this one university that had such a crappy electric system that every half an hour to, that the whole school would go out. And if you were in the computer lab writing something, if you didn't save every third word, you could lose. And I would get into a jag of writing and I'd lose half of a document, but then I'd have to start over again, which in the long run made it better. So let's see, take two here. So this is the story of me going to Brazil and me running into the Nazis and me finding out that the things that I kind of heard about through all the difference that I was part of actually really happened because I met the boys from Brazil, the horse's mouth. So, we'll start at the beginning. So I was living in the Lower East Side. I was helping. I was like the technical adjutant of or Outstanding Renewal Enterprises, and we were taking over city-owned abandoned buildings, putting in, putting shock troops in there, and we would send mail to ourselves. We put it in a whole, we take over buildings that were totally cinder blocked up, usually had a bad fire, the roof was burned off. But as long as it structurally was good and it hadn't been too damaged by the fires, we would just go in. We would quickly fix the roof so the water wouldn't come in anymore, and we'd put a metal buck door on the front door and put the address on the door, and have a mail slot, and then start mailing ourselves mail, and then and once we got that, we'd start mailing ourselves registered mail, right? And holding that. And that is a legal way of showing that you live someplace, right? So we did that, and then we'd move people in and have a back entrance in, and then we start cleaning the place out, and we just kind of dump all the crap out the windows. The windows mostly been knocked out from the second floor up. From the ground floor up to the second floor, they would cinder block the windows thinking that people wouldn't get in. But hey, the fire escapes are still there. Anyway, so we would get in there. We take a long story short, we took over like 50 buildings. We started a movement, not the squatting movement, but the homestead movement. And there's a Hollywood star. Her name is Dawson. Her last name is Dawson. And she was one of the little kids whose mom, they were homeless in a cardboard box, and we gave them an apartment. And what we did was we showed the folks how to fix up their apartments to code. It had to be not just squatting, it had to be homesteading to code. And then I, as the master electrician, would get illegal electric power put in these buildings, which is kind of a real sleight of hand because nobody owned them, right? They weren't on the tax roll. But because I knew the inspectors well enough, and I had worked for Grandpa Stoll, and everybody owned, and what we were doing was a good thing. And so everybody kind of let it happen. So I would get, every apartment have their own meter. We weren't stealing electricity, but that you legally live there, then the marshal can't throw you out. And then we would go through the whole process, and then the city would, after a while, after 4 years of hassling with the city actually gave us, they said, listen, you have been doing what we have supposed to be doing, and we have had a entity within the New York City Housing Authority that does exactly what you did. And we started in 1932, and in all those years, we have only done one building, and we have spent over $5 million. Right? You guys took over 50 buildings, housed 500 families, and spent less than $35,000. And you brought these buildings up to code. So we're going to let you do what we're supposed to do. We're going to turn this over. That way it's totally legal. We can be happy. We'll get the credit for it. Everything will be fine. So we did that. And everyone got their house and everything got to be code and da-da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, the building I lived in was called Lucky 13 because it was on 13th Street and was more than just an apartment house. It was like our central, right? It's our base of operations. And we had a theater there and a library and, a community kitchen, a community garden, a community health center. And we had 4 lofts above that me and David Boyle lived in one, but David lived all over. He he had more than one spot. And, all around, this place was pretty amazing. And that's kind of where we did our theater out of, Carlos Altomani, his theater was there. Yep, I'm back. Anyway, I had lots of my friends. I had lived in this art place called West Beth, and it was a place where, all the artists who had turned, Soho into Soho, basically kind of pushed out gentrification, right? The rich people came in. Yes, we made money. We sold our loss. But the people who were, well known, famous, infamous, I fit in that category. And a friend of mine, Michael Keene, he and I had the basement. And then I got an apartment that I shared with my sweetie Stephanie Shub. And those were all another stories. But that was years before we started doing the homestead thing in the Lower East Side and Bed-Stuy and Brownsville and Red Hook and Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Anyway, so I was there, and my buddy Mike, he was, he picked up my strategy of working hard and then going living somewhere for a year or two, and he got to really like Brazil, and he found this place called Búzios, and go look it up on the Google Maps, and it's on the Atlantic coast of Brazil, and it's about 200 miles north of Rio. Anyway, so he would come, and he'd come the first, oh, wow, you got to come, it's an amazing place, Búzios, it's where the rich people live, and the artists there, and blah, 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 blah. He's getting laid 10 times a night, so that's what Michael liked. Anyway, so he went back, and then came back, and went back, and then he's there, and it's like a third time he went back. And I'm in our loft at Lucky 13, and the phone rings, and it was like... we had this couch that was like a space astronaut's chair that we found out on the thing, and I just built a plywood box and fitted it right in there. And it's just at the right angle, and we put our TV set on the ceiling so the people who would just come through and rob us couldn't get our TV, and we kept the remote control in the freezer so the battery didn't die. Anyway, and there was the phone. We had a phone there, and it was... a yellow, canary yellow phone, and it had a long, long cord. And it was one of those early AT&T Ma Bell, still had the Ma Bell logo on it, Western Electric, push-button phones, right? And I had a bunch of them. And so I put that one in there once we got a phone line. And so I'm sitting there watching TV, and the phone rings. I pick it up, and this voice... that's very European, goes, is this the master of Xenon's discotheque, the creator of the Xenon? And I said, who wants to know? And he tells me his name, and that he's in Brazil, and that he has got my friend Michael Keene, and they're going to torture him if I don't show up and build them a discotheque. And I go, he owes me money. I hang the phone up, click. About a minute later, phone, No, 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 we're not kidding. We actually have your friend, and we're in Brazil, and I said, I don't care. He owes me $500. Click, and phone rings another minute. No, no, we're actually going to torture him and then kill him. I said, good. A lot of people will be happy. Click, and he does that for about 6 times, and he goes, all right, all right. So you don't care if we kill Michael. So we won't kill him, but we will offer you, a first class ticket to Rio, and we will pick you up and take you to Buzios. And before you get on the airplane, I will wire you $5,000. And I said, now you're talking. And I said, and a lot more once we complete the deal. Yes, we will. You will be happy that you come to Buzios. And I said, okay, I got nothing to do. It's winter. It's summer there. It sounds like a plan. So, about next day, I call up Western Union, and yes, they have a money order for me, and I go get it, and they give me cash, and I put half of it in my savings deposit box, and I pay off a few debts, and take about 1,000 with me, and so. And I've learned when you are flying anywhere internationally, if you don't have to, don't bring anything. If you're going to, like me, if I go someplace, I'm going to be there 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. And so I don't need to bring anything with me. I can get it there. Right? I just bring the things I need, whatever that is. And anyway, so I go to Kennedy and I get my ticket, and it's first class. I mean, really first class. Nice big chairs, the hot towel, the whole thing, the cocktails. And it was in a 747, so I could go upstairs. And everybody in this flight basically had their seat and another seat or two, and they had it stacked with VCRs and TVs and microwave ovens. And so when we arrive at Rio, and they're going through customs, the customs guy would say in Portuguese, do you have anything to declare? And they would say no and hand him a microwave or a TV or a VCR. And they would go on, and they'd have like these big wagons with like 40 of these products. Obviously, they're just bringing them in and paying the customs guy off. Well, I got no suitcase. I just have a little bag over my arm. And he looks at me, and I show him my passport, and he goes in English, and do you have anything to declare? I go, no. And everyone who gave him a bribe, he'd hit a button, and there'd be a green light, and they would go through customs. Me, who had nothing, obviously nothing to declare, he looked in the bag, he looked at me. I had the exact amount of money in your traveler's checks, not cash. I got traveler's checks, and what I could legally bring in, and he hit the red thing, and they took me off to a room and put me there. And it was a little small room, no windows, and smelled bad. And you could smell like someone was tortured in that room. And there was two guys with machine guns looking at me, right? And I talked to them, tried to be nice. They, only follow Portuguese. So, I don't know. 20 minutes went by, and this guy, really tall, well dapper, expensive suit, comes in, and these guys nearly hit the floor and kiss his feet. And he goes, Al, come with me. So we walk out, and we go out the back door. We don't go through the airport. We don't go through customs. We don't go through anything. We go out the back door, and there's a limousine waiting for us. And the limousine is like, the longest stretch. This is before stretches were, everyone had to have one. And, it was like a tank. It rode. It nearly had treads. It was like unbelievable, right? It looked like it could survive an RPG. And so we get in, and there's only one door, right? Go in, and there's this big piano bar couch. And then there's a bar with a microwave and a refrigerator in it. And we take off, and there's all the windows are like dark. You can't even see into the place. You can kind of see out, but no one can see in. And the driver, are tinted. And when we, went on his side to go to the door, he got out of the car. And when I saw him, he had the chauffeur's hat and white shirt, black tie, chauffeur's jacket. And he opened up the door and he put his foot out there and it was barefoot. And he had these like totally just old, dirty shorts, right? And his white shirt, his nice, well pressed white shirt, was tucked into his shorts. But people could only see the top part of him driving. And he had these glasses that were like welder's glasses. And he had a very strange kind of aura about him. He didn't smell or anything, but he had a strange aura about him. So he comes around, opens up the door for us. We get in. He goes and gets in the car, and he takes off. Right, and he takes a few back roads, and all of a sudden, we've totally, you know, skated traffic, and Rio is just one big parking lot. And he's going through red lights and going here and turning right there, and then we get on this road going out of town, heading north. And it's a road that goes right by the ocean, and it goes up and down and up and down and up and down. And this guy's doing like 90. And so we're sitting in the back, and he goes, "I am the lawyer, the Buzios Zenons." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "We will get there. I will show you the spot, but we will come into town, and to get to Madame's palatial estate, we'll have to kind of go all the way down the peninsula and then into town and through town and then up kind of just before the fishing village and then up this hill where all the rich people live." I said, "Okay." I just kept saying, "Okay." And then he says, "Do you have any questions?" I said, "No." He goes, "Well, one thing I will tell you now, and I will remind you again. Never look at Madame. Never stare at Madame. Never look her in the eyes. Never say anything unless she talks to you first." And I go, "Okay." So he goes, "Are you hungry? Do you want something to drink?" And I go, "Yeah, I could use something." So he opens up a bottle of champagne, pours me some champagne, nice champagne, right? So then he kind of lights up, he has a thermidor, in this kind of shelf, and he opens up the thermidor, and there's spliffs like Tony Two Toes has, right? With lamb's breath in the middle. "You want one of these?" "Oh, I know what they are." "Sure, I do." So we're both smoking our own spliff and drinking champagne. "Hungry yet?" "Oh, yeah." So, he opens up the refrigerator, and in it is these favelas. They're like pastry, like very flaky pastry, but kind of substantial like a pie. And inside were meats and vegetables. I threw a couple in the microwave. Bing, hits it, comes out. Oh, they are the tastiest little thing. Very savory and spicy and just the greatest. So I'm chopping away on that, drinking the champagne. He goes, "You ever have a cup of Caprina?" And I'm smoking the spliff. And I go, "What's that?" And he goes, "Well, cachaça is a liqueur that we make here in Brazil, and it's from the sugar cane, and it is quite intoxicating, and it has a slight aphrodisiac characteristic and a more than strong psychotropic value." And I go, "Sounds tasty." So he opens up a bottle of this stuff, and it's kind of ouzo-y like, And in the refrigerator, in the freezer part, he's got a ice chest, and he takes out the ice, and he kind of crushes it up into crushed ice. And it wasn't cubes; it was already kind of crushed ice to begin with, but he crushes it more, puts it in a highball glass, pours this liqueur in it, and this stuff was like ambrosia, and it just, the minute it hit your lips, it just kept going down and down. You could feel it go all the way down through your throat, down your esophagus, into your tummy. You could see and feel all the little creatures in your gut kind of starting to have a party. It's like, this was pretty amazing stuff. And between the spliff, the champagne, and the, Copper Caprina, I was feeling no pain. And I'm like looking out the window, and when we're kind of above the ocean is like glimmering like stars, and it's just an amazing experience. And then all of a sudden, this like air horn from tractor trailer, it's like wakes me up, and I look up, and This guy is passing a tractor trailer going up over at the hill, and just before we get to top, another one's coming back, and he doesn't hit the brakes or anything. He just steps on the gas, and he's going, and the horn of the other guy is like blasting, and we whoosh right by it with like that much to spare on either side. I mean, I'm looking out this window, and I'm like, and the guy, I look over the lawyer, and he's like doing paperwork. He's not even, phased. And I'm like, I go, my hand is shaking, and I'm like drinking more of the champagne and, lighting up my spliff again and puffing away on it like a chimney. Anyway, this guy does it another 7, 8, 9 times in the 200 miles that we drive. And the lawyer doesn't even, and by the fifth time, I said, "What the? This guy's got to kill us." Oh no, that's how he drives. And I said, "What do you mean that's how he drives?" Well, he never had anything. He's been my chauffeur the last 20 years. This is how he drives. And I go, "Well, how does he do it?" And he goes, "He's blind." And like I said, he was wearing welder's glasses, and I'm going, and I don't even question that, right? I just kind of sink lower in the seat and get the safety belt on and just smoke another spliff, right? So we come up over the hill and we take the turn off on into the peninsula of Buzios, Brazil, and we kind of come down into it. And on this side over here is this kind of fishing village. Over here is a good portion of farms. And at the very end of the peninsula, I don't even remember which. I guess it's the west side, was the town, and it's very flashy, very nothing tall, nothing's more than 3 stories, 4 stories. I don't think more than 5 stories high, and but it was, you could tell this was a party place. A totally amazing beach from one end of that part of the peninsula to where the fishing village was. And it had to be at least 20 miles, right? And it was pristine, and it had hotels and you know little cabins and restaurants, and then we kind of hit the main drag, which again was still along the beach, and it was cobblestone roads and cobblestone sidewalks and palm trees and amazing bushes everywhere. Nazis, yes, Nazis. We're getting there. We're getting the Nazis. Yep. This is the boys from Brazil. So, and we're into it 23 minutes, so we're doing good. Another 23 minutes, I'll be at the hiatus, not a hiatus, but really in the Naziness. So we pull through, and we start to go up. We go through the fishing village, and then we kind of go up this hill into where all of these really rich estates are. Big houses with stables and dogs and fences and real estates, right? And then we're going up this hill, and at the very top, it's like a castle up there. And he goes, "That's Madame's." And I look over to this way, back towards into town, and there is this big area, not on the town level, but about, I don't know, 300-400 feet above it, kind of set back on a knoll. And it's like kind of between where we are and down where the beach is. Where we are, maybe it's 800 feet above the beach, maybe not. Anyway, I never measured it. So I go, "What's that?" And he goes, "Oh, that's the hospital." But it's a very nice, there are a lot of buildings. They're very nice. They're really attractive. It looks like a hotel, really, with a number of other buildings that look kind of modern-esque. And it's like 1950s Brazilian George Jetson poured concrete buildings, except for the big one that looks like a hotel. It looks like 19th century. But it is surrounded by severe security. I mean, high fences with concertina wire on it, and like maybe every, I don't know, 100 yards or so, a tower with obvious guys with machine guns. I mean, this is severe. And the woods is a good 100 yards from where that big fence is, and where the woods is, about I don't know, 20 feet from the woods is another, security fence with concertina wire. So you got to get over that. They see you, they put the spotlight on you and machine gun you. I mean, this is Sagira's kind of place. And I said, hospital? He goes, yes, it's the hospital. I'm like, okay. So we continue up the hill, and the guy comes out with bare feet and the welder's glasses. And basically, the lawyer says, once again, I have to remind you, do not look at Madame, and do never stare in her eyes, and don't speak unless you're spoken to. So, okay. So, beautiful house, up these stairs, Roman columns, go through the big doors, go into a kind of lobby, and we go further in, and there's a sitting room here, and a dining room there, and a library over here, and the billiards thing over there. Then the great, hall, right? But it's darker than dark. I mean, all these other rooms are very bright, and windows and sachets and everything, but this thing, that big doors, and we walk in, and there's a big, it's like Jabba the Hutt. This was straight out of Star Wars. I think it was, the Return of the Jedi, when Luke goes in the black to see his, get, what's the name back, and Leia's there with the chain around her neck in that costume. And that's what this was like. And this woman was on top of this kind of heap of, bodies, things, whatever it was. And there were all these people. It's like a court. And they were all ne'er-do-wells, hanger-on, and staff. And, I kind of look straight in her eyes. My mouth goes like, because she looks just like Jabba the Hutt, like, 6 tons of a gelatinous mass and taking things out of a bowl and sucking them down. And I go, what the fuck? So I spoke before I was spoken to. I stared straight into her eyes, and they were snake, and and I was gawking. All the things that would get you thrown in the dungeon for. And she just, she starts laughing, and she goes, "Oh, you are Al." I said, "Yeah, that's me. You will make me my Xenons." And I go, "I'll do my best." And so, anyway, she kind of, there's the chief of police, there's the magistrate, there's this guy, that guy, and there were 3 guys there that they said, these are the doors. I said, they're from the hospital? She goes, yes, you've heard of the hospital. I said, no, I just saw it driving up here. And I was about to ask them a question, but they looked like stone cold dead people. They were all bald, they all wore black suits, and they were not happy. Anyway, so I just said, hey, how you doing? So she said, we will speak later. The lawyer will take you to where you will be staying. So I go, okay. And we get out of there and go, whoa. And he said, it's amazing. You got out of there. He said, you did everything I told you not to do. I said, what? You didn't really prepare me. You just told me not to stare, not to say anything, and not to gawk. How could I not? What is that? That's Madame. And never again, say, what is that? I said, okay. Okay. So where am I going to stay? So we get back in the limousine. The blind guy drives us back down the hill, and we go into the fishing village, and we go down this little cul-de-sac. It was right along the water, all the fishing boats. It was beautiful. And all of the houses along it were very nice. They weren't like what you like in Rio. There are all these favelas, which are like people living in a garbage pit. These were very nice, right on the ocean. They had porches and flowers and gardens, and it was very nice, very nice. And so we pull up to this one towards the end, and it's smaller than the others. It's bigger, it's nicer, and it has a little cabin that's right on the water, and it's a stone cabin, or stone, whatever you want to call it. But it has a gigantic long deck around the whole thing that goes down to where there's a place you can tie up your boat, and you can go swimming if you wanted to. There's a place you can kind of jump off and then get back up, and It's really nice, you know. And I'm looking around and I'm thinking that's where I'm going to be. So he knocks on the door, says some stuff in Portuguese to this woman, and she starts to cry, goes down to her knees and starts kissing his feet. And I can capture no, and 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 I go, "What's the problem?" And he goes, "Well, they have to move in that little cabin, and this will be your house." Well, this is a big house. It's got lots of rooms, and you kind of look in there. It's nice sitting room, nice dining room, beautiful kitchen. You know, within the context of a 1940s Sears kind of wooden cabin, and that's what these things all were. Anyway, and a beautiful deck and a this and there are 10 people in there. And I said, no way are 10 people going to fit in that little cabin. He said, no, no, you need to be here and they need to be there. I said, no. And he goes, well, what do you mean no? They're the expendables. We own them. They're our property. I said, yes, the houses are your property. He goes, no, they are our property. And I go, you want me to do this? And he goes, yes, of course. You're here. You're going to do this. And I said, well, you're going to have a little leeway with me. And he goes, well, what do you want? I said, I want them to stay here. I'll live in that nice little cabin. That's perfect for me. It's really nice. Let's go take a look. I'll look at it. It is pretty. It's beautiful. It's clean. It's nice. Yes, it's one big room, and there's a kitchen over here, and there's a bathroom over there, and there's like a nice bedroom with not bedroom, but a bed. But it looks right out onto the water. It's beautiful, and it's like this. That's where the sun sets. So, and the front porch is kind of facing where the east is, and it's a big porch, and there's a nice table and a swingy swing, and I mean this is perfect for me. I don't need anything more than this, and the water works and the lights work, and it's no one's been in it for a bit, needs a little dusting, but it's nice, very nice, And the bed looks 40 years old, but I can sleep on that. I've slept on worse. And it has a hammock. I'm a hammock boy. It has a hammock on the inside and on the outside. Hey there, just getting into the story of the boys from Brazil, the Nazis. And I told this whole story this morning, and I got knocked off just when I was getting good. The story took 2 hours, and I got knocked off at a half an hour. So, anyway, we're into the story. I'm in Brazil. I'm going to build a nightclub in Búzios, Brazil, for the lady who owns everything. Her name is the Madame, right? And she's like the queen, but there is a power behind the queen. So, I get that straight with the lawyer, and he goes, okay. And the woman, he tells the woman that they can stay. Everyone's starting to collect their stuff, getting ready to move into that little box. And he says, I'm going to move in there. And the woman, after he drives away, comes and, starts to kiss my feet. And I go, no, get up. And she's just saying all this stuff in Portuguese. And one of her daughters, in about 22 to 27, comes and starts to translate, and she's saying, "Thank you. You're a great man. There's no one like you in this town. Everyone who has power like you have, beats us, kills us, rapes us, takes advantage, owns us, and we just have to get along. And yes, when things are okay, life is okay, but things can at any moment go really, really bad for us. And none of us have ever seen anyone with your power be that empathetic, be that, think of us first, And I go, what do you mean power? What power? I said, you told the lawyer what to do. No one ever tells the lawyer what to. Next to the Madame, Madame, he and the police commandant, they are life and death. And I go, and you told him no, and told him what you wanted, and he had to listen to you. That no one does that. You are a man of power. And I'm like 30-something years old going, okay. Good you speak English. And she goes, my little brother here, his name is Richard. We call him Rick. And he looks just like, this sweet little puppy dog that I had that I called Jack. Anyway, so he loves American comics, and he's got a big collection. He's got this bag. And anyway, so she and he come over, and we talk about the place and how I might want it set up and what I might need, and etc. And I said, well, to her name was Marie, what do you do? And she goes, well, I work at the bank. I can speak Spanish and English and German and Portuguese and French. I have a knack for language. And my brother here, Rick, Ricky, they called him Ricky. He also has a knack for languages. And I would learn later that their knack was a lot deeper than just languages. So I say, okay. And so they bring 3 or 4 of their brothers who are handy, and they, fix things up. Some of the doors didn't work, in the cabinets. The electricity needed a little spunky up. They had tools. There was a couple of hornets' nests they got rid of. They put screens up in all the windows, and they brought in a really, really nice bed with really nice linen sheets and really nice pillows with linen pillows. And they put up a screen, tent around the whole thing. And they moved the table that was there over and put a really nice table and some nice chairs and a nice sitting chair in. And then they cleaned all the drawers out and all the closets out and they cleaned up, no one's been in this place for a good long time. And they clean the bathroom up and make sure the toilet works and make sure the water works and make sure everything works. And so the boys leave, and Marie and Rick stay there. And so we talk some more. And she said, well, the lawyer said that he was going to come back and take you for dinner with Madame. And I said, I really don't want to do that. And she goes, well, we're going to have a very nice dinner, chicken and vegetables and some fish and, just amazing dinner, all these special. I said, I'll try that. So I go and I sit there in this big table with the whole family around, and they're all like so jovial, and they're saying all these, and, Rick's on one side of me and Marie's on the other, and they're translating everyone, and everyone's just so happy that I'm there and that I'm going to be their guardian angel, and what a brave soldier I want, all this kind of stuff, and I'm just going, whatever. So the food is mind-boggling. Real Brazilian food is, and the real Brazilian food are the people out in the country who are growing their own stuff, got their own chickens, do their own fishing, maybe have a goat or two. And as long as this authoritarian power does not screw with them, they have a pretty good life, And that's what these people had, a pretty good life. But like Marie said, that at any moment, things can go south really bad. So, they're having dinner and knock, knock, knock on the door. And, the lawyer doesn't even wait for someone to invite him in or for someone to open the door. He just kind of walks in and he goes, you're not ready. And I said, wait a minute, I'm not ready. He goes, well, we were going to have dinner with Madame. I said, no, I'm having dinner with my clan here. And he goes, don't you understand? They are. I said, listen. Don't tell me that you own them. Don't tell me they're expendable. Don't tell me you could just murder them at the minute, because that's what they tell me. You touch them, and I'm gone. You need me. I don't need you. He goes, well, we would just kill you. Oh, good luck with that. And everyone's like really quiet. And I'm just like, yeah, good luck with that. Sure. Mm-hmm. And so he breathes in. What am I going to tell Madame? Tell her the truth. I'm tired. I just spent the whole 2 days in airports on jets. I'm jet lagged. Tell her that. He goes, yes, she'll believe that. And I said, we'll start tomorrow. And he goes, I'll come by and pick you up around 10 a.m. I said, sounds good to me. So we have a dinner, we have a really great, they have this little card game that it's kind of like Aces, but I haven't gotten the jig of it yet. But I'm just watching it, and everyone is talking smack. Part of the game is talking smack to each other while they're playing the card game. And they have the beauty of these guys, they had no radio, no television, no phonograph, no tape recorder, no internet, no smartphone, no nothing. All they had was their own instruments. And two of the boys were playing these big guitars, and this little girl was playing the most beautiful little violin, and they were just entertaining themselves playing music for everyone, while everyone else was playing cards. These guys didn't like cards. Went over, with Jack, and I said, Jack, so why aren't they playing cards? Oh, they like playing music. They play music all the time. Better than radio, right? And the little girl had such a sweet voice. It was like, whew. So I'm going to like this, because I'm there no more than 12 hours. I got a clan of great people who adore me, right? Anyway, so I say, Jack, you are, he goes, Jack, my name is Ricardo. I'm Ricky. So, no, Ricky, Jack. I'm going to call you Jack. He goes, why Jack? I said, well, because you remind me of one of my best friends, my dog, right? I don't tell him a dog, but, and he goes, your best friend? I said, yeah, one of my best friends. Am I your best friend? I said, you're getting there, I said, Jack, you're going to be my number one man. He goes, what? You mean like the lawyer? Madame's number one man is the lawyer. And you told the lawyer what? I said, well, you can't tell those people what to do, but I need you to tell me what the 411 is. And he goes, oh, 411? I said, yeah, what's going on? Have you ever heard of the... I've heard of them. I'm tired. I go to bed. Next morning, Maria and Jack show up, and they have this whole big tray of yummy things to eat, newly baked, and juices, freshly squeezed orange juice and mango juice, and they have these grapefruits that are just unbelievable, and all this peeled fruit, and a kind of like, I don't know if you guys know what polenta is, but something like polenta. And we sit down, and the three of us have a nice breakfast together, right? And so 9 o'clock shows up, 10 o'clock shows up, and the lawyer shows up, right? And I've been fed, and we're sitting out on the front porch and drinking tea. She had a very nice fruity tea, and eating these little sweet cakes. And the lawyer had left me a little thermidor of those spliffs, and so I'm having my morning spliff. And drinking the tea and eating the little cakes, and the limo shows up, and I get up and I walk over to, and I'm still wearing the same kind of, I had a black outfit, a black shirt, black pants, black shoes. And in the morning, Maria, kind of, her sisters, two of her sisters were there, and they took my measurements, right? And so I had no idea what that was for. And she goes, well, you need clothes. You only have one shirt, one pair of pants. You need more than that if you're going to stay here. And I said, okay. So I go off with the lawyer. We drive up to Madame's, and I have Rick with me. And the lawyer goes, well, no, he can't come. I said, he is my number one man. I can trust him. You can't, he's the slime of the earth. He's a, street urchin. I'm just kind of look. I got the space. He goes, okay, he can come. He cannot go in and be with us and Madame. Period. I go, okay. He'll hang out outside. He'll hang in the kitchen, wherever wherever you want to put him, where he's safe, and he'll be happy. Okay? And so the lawyer goes, okay. So we go up there. We Jack goes to the kitchen, and he knows the cook there, so he's happy to feel safe. So we go in, and we're now not in the big hall. We're in her library, which is quite nice. It has a pool table. billiard table, not pool, billiards. It's like a golf course. Anyway, so she is watching the police chief hit the balls around, the billiard table. And he goes, "Do you play billiards?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, of course I do." And he goes, "Oh, sometime we will have to play." I said, "Yep, yep." I said, "So do you play Go?" He goes, "Oh, that strategy game. I would love to learn that." I said, "Listen, you go get a Go board and I'll teach you how to play." And he goes, "Oh, we are friends." I said, "We're getting there." So he, are you still there? I don't want to keep going if no one's listening to this or caring about it. Not Argentina, no, we're in Brazil, right? We're in Brazil. The boys from Brazil. Nazis. Yes, this is a story about Nazis. Here. Okay, Angie, thank you. Because I told this whole story for 2 hours and then I realized that I got knocked off, right? Especially when I got into really amazing stuff. Stuff that the powers that be don't want anyone to know about. And I'm telling you. And tonight we're going to go into state and visit the consciousness of all of this. Don't miss that one. Tell the folk. And I'm not really concerned about subscribers because I want them to be the cadre. I'm not worried about being advertised or doing right because I'm more about all our relations, but maybe it's time. You guys have put this up on Facebook. That's great. But you got to do more with that. You have to somehow not advertise it, but advertise it. But I hate advertising. Proselytize. I hate proselytizing. You kind of get the idea. And I think the best, if you guys, come on, you've now been part of the chorus, part of the, shock troops of love's co-creation, the cadre, and all the relations, you need to start stepping up and out to all of this, right? So, maybe kind of more thumbs up, somehow. I know, the powers that be are watching us, but I'd like the algorithms to start taking notice and getting a few more folk on here, and that they would spread it throughout their little hinterland, right? And really what I want you guys to do is to really step up and do this in your own little neighborhood. Start coffee houses. Start, salons in your living rooms. Get a cadre of your own. That's a part of all our relations, that will be part of this so they can be part of the chorus. We have to start raising our voice and not, in what way? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation. As was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. And as in every day and every way, let us all, so say we all, let us all take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. Because, again, we're at this window of opportunity where we can really make a difference. Instead of getting to be rebranded, guys, you need to go look up the mud flood. About 300 years ago, give or take, there was a planetary kerfuzzle, and a naturally caused one, like they're starting to talk about now. But this was in the mid-19th century, like before the Civil War, and it basically devastated half of the human population, right? It was close to like 3 billion or so people, maybe less, and it knocked it down to what the statistics were after the Civil War, which is less than 1 billion people. So more than about 2 billion people were whacked in a very short period of time. And if you go on YouTube and punch in mud flood and Mandela effect, this website will come up, and it's very good. We're giving you the 411 of what kind of happened. I mean, he does his best. He is limited by what his access is, and but from what I heard, he's it's the closest I've heard about that, right? So they are queuing us up for another mud flood. So the only way that this can be altered in a positive way is that we get more people through the consciousness of their free will to step up, right? In every day and every way, and take the peace of the earth. And Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners now and the hour of death. Amen. And every day let us take the peace of the earth and make it stronger with love's co-creation. And I just did that as like a little, public, announcement. And, I really need you guys to start looking at that 1/3 of a novel that I left on xratted.blogspot.com, because it's a etheric piece of magic. And what is magic? One man's magic is another man's science, technology, So we're when I started doing this with you guys, it was the 40 days and 40 nights of the window of opportunity. Now, we don't live in a land of linear time, so yeah, it's long past if you were counting each day. But in reality, we're at day number 32. We're not up to 40 yet. And so if we get more of a cadre, more of a chorus, and if we have this going on in all your little towns and counties, because you guys aren't just, in Miami Beach someplace, or Newark, New Jersey, or Chicago. You're all over the friggin' planet. So come on, step up. Get outside your little bubble. You are you come here, you love this, you experience it, you are my cadre. I feel your hearts, I've, taken this digital platform and turned it into a shamanic platform. And I'm glad to do it. I'm living on $300 a month, and at any time, John can throw me out. This morning he was angry that yesterday I had to feed him, I have to shamanically bless him, but I can't deal with this. I'm stuck here. This is like Ice Station Zebra. I can't even get down. I've reached out to you guys because I want to, I'm not going to be around forever. My coming home, my going home is coming soon, right? And I, said, okay, I'm stepping up to do the work. Making love's co-creation happy by trying to, make the world happy. So, hey, I'm here to do this, but I need a cadre. I can't do this all by myself. And it has to be more than, watching television for you guys. We got to have some skin in the game. I know I've gone and energetically looked at you all, and I know that you've had lives that have been difficult and, and trying, and through that you came out the other side in a positive way rather than a negative way. And that's why you're here. You are adepts. And you're doing really good. I'm not dissing you. I'm not giving a hard time. I'm giving you like a pep talk. This is, like I said, just a little commercial in between. And by the way, if anyone wants to send me a little gratuity that a lot of you have, and I thank you humbly for them all, you send it to Al, Martino, via, the old Western Union, because that's the easiest. You call them up, use your credit card, and, and if you don't have one, you can, and then email me at the Dude Awake 42 and give me the tracking number. And bingo, there it is. And a lot of you have done that, and I really appreciate it. And it's really, every time you send me something, it's just when I need to, get my car fixed or get my eyes operated on or do something like that, or buy some food that I haven't been able to buy for the last week. Anyway, where can I go but to say I love you all, and I'm going to pick up the story. So there we were. We go visit Madame, and there's the chief of police and a few of the other, her major domos, right? And so we kind of talk about, and they said, so we want you to build this thing down on the beach, and the lawyer's going to show you now where it is. And then you start thinking about it, and it's good where you're living because we want you to get the real flavor of everything. And that should be the aesthetic. You get an idea, just like you did for Xenons. Little do they know, I did not design, I did not build Xenons. What I did was I made it work. Meaning I got tapped on the shoulder by Bobby Bentnose and Tony Two Toes, who shot 2 of his toes off, and Bobby never won a fight, so he had this really nasty broken nose. And so they wanted to make something, big splash with the mom's money, and they didn't want to end up like Bugsy Moran. So they had spent a good 2 years doing this, turning the Edison Theater into, Xenons, and it didn't work. The lights didn't, they had the power, they had the wires pulled, they had everything, but none of the stuff worked. And because it was very, it was like the space shuttle. They actually had a flying saucer that lowered down, a 6-ton friggin' flying saucer that spat out, dry ice and, anyway. And I made everything work, right? And got it all passed by the city. And, that was a big miracle, and they paid me very well. But the street cred I got for that was over the top. And I was their electrician, so I would stop by every night to make sure everything was working. And, that if the building department came by, they wouldn't stop it because this thing made close to $70,000 a night profit, after expenses. And so that's what the Madame kind of wanted, a thing like that. And when she went to New York and saw it and was flabbergasted by it, she said, "Who did this?" And they said, "Owl did this." And that's, I gave them my phone number, and that's how they got a hold of me. And Michael had been in Buzios, my friend, and that's why they called me up and said, "We're going to shoot your friend unless you come here and build a nightclub." And I said, "Fine, kill him," because he owed me $500. Anyway, I finally got there, and so finally went to this meeting, and everyone was happy. We get in the limousine, the lawyer takes me back down the hill, past the hospital, and around through the tourist section. And this place was unbelievable, because this was a place for the uber rich of Europe and Asia to come, and it was like, a concentration camp on the inside out, meaning everyone on the inside was like, this is the uber gated community. And you could do anything you wanted. All the rich people could do it. They could have sex, they could rape, they could pillage, they could kill with total, because all the people, all the, natives were like expendable. They were owned. And so when you came down this road and you went through the major part, there, like there was the main avenue, and on one side's the beach, beautiful beach. Just more beautiful beach, and it was like 20 miles long, and there were all these cabanas and all these places for people to lie in the sand and get baked, and there were guys in little white jackets with trays bringing you food and drinks, and the people could be naked, they could be having sex on the beach, they could do anything, and just across the street are all the stores and restaurants and nightclubs and bars, right? So this was a unbelievably open, free zone for rich people and powerful people to do whatever the heck they wanted. There was no consequences, just a bill. And so we're driving by, and I'm watching all this go on, going, wow, this is it. And so the lawyer is seeing me looking at this, going, so this is the clientele. This is what we have to build for. This is, we have a number. I have a nightclub here. See that right there? That's mine. And it was like a little mall. It's like an alley that went in and it was covered and had all kinds of stores and restaurants. And he owned all that, right? And so we went through all that. We went through the fishing village and we kind of went out of town on the road that went through the fishing village. It kind of went up on a hill and then it came down again and there was this big valley. And over on one end of the valley was, a place that they dug up stone and a quarry, right? And there were big piles of stone and sand and there was a concrete factory there too. And there was an asphalt factory there too. And there was a kind of big warehouse, almost looked like it was a big gigantic building. And it was like, had all kinds of construction equipment in it and all kinds of materials and all kinds of stuff. And all around it were all kinds of other materials, stacks of everything. Like a big industrial lumberyard. Anyway, and it wasn't Lowe's, there wasn't a parking lot with a lot of people. It was like this was a place where whenever the powers, Madame wanted to build something, this was like her little erector set. And then we kind of, that was that end of the this valley. But just, we went up to the top of that valley and stopped. And you could see all that over there, and the road went down to it. But we walked back, and there was a path. And we went on the path, and we went to where there was like a little clearing, and you saw this amazing beach. That was way more amazing than the one that all the rich naked people were on. And it was totally secluded. It was totally, right? And at this one end, well, that was like totally would make a nice marina. And he goes, we're going to build the marina there, but that's for another day. But right there is where the road is going to come down. And that's where we want xenons, of Buzios. And I said, okay, but where's the road? And he goes, well, we'll build it. What do you mean, build it? There's a cliff there. It's not like coming down on a slight angle like this little path here. We come to this little clearing. Yeah, John.
How's it going?
Oh, I'm telling a story.
Oh, okay.
So, and then there's a cliff, about 800 feet down. And it's not like this, it's like this, So, he goes, there'll be a road. I said, okay. What's it going to take, years? And he goes, no, a week or two. I go, really? Anyway, so we get back in the limo and we drive down to the construction, Lowe's. I look at all that stuff and I said, well, you can build a lot of stuff. Oh, we plan to.
Chili cook-off!
Uh-huh.
Chili cook-off! Boys and girls, everybody! Yeah, it's time for the chili cook-off! Yeah! We're gonna eat a big bowl of chili! Yeah! All right, I'm gonna go get the chili. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Anyway. It's a dying art. Well, I still can do it, I'm your griot. And you guys, I'm doing it for you to like pick up, so you can have chops to tell stories, And part of stories is having a life's experience, most people, John should have the most amazing experience, but he doesn't. He stays up here, he doesn't do anything. He has great potential, and he doesn't do anything. And it's time that we start doing something, because that's what Love's Co-Creation wants. Yes, John?
I got the chili. Yeah, chili. Y'all want to try some chili? Yeah, we're having a good old cookout. Chili. Yeah, it's good. I might try some if you don't want it.
I'm gonna have it later, John.
Okay, chili cook-off.
Well, did that knock us off? Are we still on? Is anyone there? Well, our whole culture's been. Guys, I'm a shrink. Got, my psychosocial cultural forensic. I talked to him, you know, and he doesn't like it. I can get to him to show him what's going on, and he doesn't like it. Yep. But we can only do what we can do. But I'm just asking, let's do some more than. I want to definitely take this on. It's not just John, it's the whole freaking world. John is just the canary in the coal mine. You know? So, I see where it is. The lawyer takes us back to my cabin, my stone cabin. And it's, maybe 2 o'clock. So, Jack shows me, the place to go fishing. We get in. I have a boat. Not only do I have a boat, I have a car. When we come back, there's a little kind of car waiting by my cabin, and there's the car keys in it. And Jack goes, "That's a police car." I said, "So that's a crappy little. It's smaller than a VW, and it's got a Ford insignia on it, and it's a Ford that they make in Brazil. Let's see. I'll go back to me. And so I got a car, I got a boat, and keys in it. And he goes, "That's a police car." I said, "Doesn't have anything." He said, "No, no, no. There are no cars here. So any car that you see is a police car, or the lawyer's car, or the judge's car. There's either big black limousines or the madam's, moving living room." Anyway, so, we take the boat out and we kind of go through the whole, coastline of that part of Buzios. And then by that time it's starting to get dark, and not dark, but sun's going down. It's maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Sun doesn't go down until about 9. So, we got back to my little boat slip, and we get out there and we kind of walk over and see what Mom is doing and the rest of the kids, that they're making dinner. And half of the kids are still at work, and so I just sit there in their kitchen, and her mom starts telling me stories about her life and what she had, and her son is translating for me, and I'm trying to listen to every word and get it in my head what Portuguese sounds like. So that's like my Portuguese lesson, and I do that pretty much every day, towards about an hour before dinner. She's finishing up, and she's telling me stories in Portuguese. She's being a griot. I'm listening like a good adept, and her son is translating for me. So that goes on for a few days, and Jack, his other sisters come in the next morning with clothes. And I have a linen. They bring in 3 or 4 linen suits, linen pants, linen shirts, silk shirts, and linen coats and shoes made from tires, and they were great, right? And so that's my new look, and a really nice, tightly woven straw hat, right? And that's my new look. These linen pants that are really, really nice. Right? I look like I'm straight out of North Africa, and I'm walking around with that, and the father has whittled me a nice cane, because he says that all distinguished men need a good cane and a weapon. And I said, "Okay, sounds good to me." And I am slowly, after a week, starting to pick up words, and I'm using them, and they're giggling at my use of Portuguese. And Jack is tutoring, and Mary is tutoring me, and and I'm walking through the whole town. I'm like walking through, the fisherman village, where I really spend most of my time, and and I go into town and I visit all the stores. And Jack is with me everywhere I go, as my translator, as my, negotiator, as my diplomat. And he obviously is a character of this town. Everyone knows him. Everyone likes him. Their family is well liked. Marie represents the people in the bank and does her best to make it not terrible for them. And and the older sons are all fixers and fishermen, and so that family is well liked. And so and the story of how I told the lawyer, no, it was like all through the town, especially the fishing village. And so, oh, I just sticking with Jack. I don't go see Madame. I don't go see the lawyer. And then one day, I'm through town, and there he's sitting at his cafe, and he goes, "So, Al, come here." And so I said, "Yes, what's up?" He goes, "Well, you haven't come to see me." I said, "Well, how's the road doing?" He says, "Oh, let us go see the road." And I said, "Let us go see the road." So we have a little nosh at his cafe there. We get in the limousine, we drive over there, and the freaking road is cut. And they got piles of stones, and there are hundreds of people with little hammers chipping away at the stones to make cobblestones. And it's half done. It's been a week and a half, and it's all cleared. It's all the way down there. You can walk now very easily. And they had some equipment, but they didn't. They did it mostly with human hand work. And they have drainage, really good drainage, and because it rains like monsoon, and then it's sunny, right? And it doesn't always rain, but when it does, it's and so I see how they set it out, and they're building a nice little, nicer than a shed, not quite a house, but nicer than a shed, and that's going to be the construction shed. I'm going there, and it's really nice, and it's like right on the water, and there's these four guys who are like head kind of construction guys. They're doing the thing, and they actually speak English, which is pretty good, pretty cool. And so, but they just speak English because they were deemed necessary to speak English and German. And so, anyway, we're laying out, ideas of what it's going to be, right? And so they have picked kind of where it's going to be just by the lay of the land. And when they made the road coming down, they had to move a whole bunch of boulders, and they just kind of rolled them into this place where they're going to build the nightclub. And that's going to be the foundation of the foundation, because there were rocks there to begin with. And so they, um, you know, put these bigger rocks on top of those rocks, and then they put smaller rocks on top of those rocks, and built it up about 4 or 5 meters above water level, right? And and they cleared out this whole area, and that had been jungle, and so the ground below that, about a meter below that, was still kind of you know you know what the ground was when it was a jungle. I mean, they cut everything down, and they pulled a lot of the stuff up and mashed it down. But they left a couple of nice trees, and so these guys, without any real consort with me, laid out a great site. I couldn't have done better. And so we're looking at it, and I said, so okay, it's time for me to go up to Madame and have some long talks with her about the aesthetic she wants, right? And then I will kind of design something, and then I will bring those to you, and then you and I will make blueprints. And they said, sounds like a plan. So I said, so what's your, that might take a week. What will the road will be done. And not only that, she goes, see over there, we're clearing. We are making a trench for electric power lines. We're going to bring down high voltage and put a transformer here. Because these guys were the utility guys, right? And they had backhoes, and so they had backhoed. That was like one of the pieces. And they also had a D6 and a front end, right? But no cranes, no anything. Their backhoe was the closest thing they had to a crane. So, I went to see Madame, and so I said, Madame, what's your idea? She goes, I want a Xenos. I said, well, this ain't New York City, and this ain't the Edison Theater, and this ain't any of that. It has to be something special. We can call it whatever we want to call it, but it has to be more of what you are. What is you? And I said, so, do you like the movies? Oh, I love them, especially the old movies. When I was a little girl, I said, okay, good. What movie did you see as a little girl transported you someplace that was special? She goes, oh, that's easy. When I saw the movie Casablanca, that's what it transported me. Because I felt at home there, but it's so different than here, but it's a lot like the same. And I said, how about we build Rick's Cafe? She goes, that's it. That's it, Rick's Cafe. I said, good. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to make some drawings, and I want you to go watch that movie. Do you have a copy of that? Oh, yes, I have a copy of that movie. I want you to watch it, and I want you to draw. I see that you draw. I see you have art books and you're drawing in them. You have? Oh, isn't that nice? Anyway, so we're having this nice, great, amazing conversation. And she, at the end of it, after we talked about 2 or 3 hours, she goes, I never spend this much time with anyone. I've never had this much fun. I feel so, this is the best. I'm so glad we're doing this. This is the best thing. Oh, I feel so good. And so she comes over and gives me a little kiss on the cheek. And I go, oh, isn't that sweet? I love you too. And she goes, he loves me. Oh, and so the lawyer and I go out and he goes, that's incredible. I said, what's incredible? I've never seen her like that. She wants to kill people all the time. She hates everyone. She's a total worse than you, worse than me. And I said, He goes, that was amazing. He said, that will have repercussions. I said, what do you mean repercussions? Well, if she stays that happy, things are going to be a lot better in this town. I said, well, that's going to be my main job, not just building this and keeping her happy. He goes, and then he goes, I'll be so happy. He almost starts crying. I said, well, it looks like we're friends, Bob. No one's ever called me Bob. It's always Sir. And, it's okay, buddy. We're going to have a good time here. So, anyway, he drives us back to my little cabin, and I have a car. I now have a car. So I say, Jack, let's go over and see the building site again. And I'm going to, take some pictures and do some drawings and talk to those guys again. I said, do you know those guys? Yeah, one's my uncle. It's my father's brother. And the other two are friends of his. All four of them were friends, right? And anyway, so we go over and we talk some more. And I said, this our little construction thing, we kind of need to have it a little more comfortable. And they said, yeah. I said, yeah, let's make a deck. Let's cover it. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's get electricity in here. Is there any water in this town? And everything was cisterns. And they said, no, but we're building a big cistern up there. And, it will catch, every time it rains, we'll have at least 5,000 gallons. I said, well, that should do. So, because one of the things that Madame controlled was water. That's why they didn't build any wells or do any of that, because everyone had a cistern, and if they weren't good, they didn't get water. That could really force you to be a nice, obedient person. So, anyway, because if you don't have water, you can't water your garden. Garden can't eat. The only food you get is from your garden. You don't have water, you can't give water to the chickens. Chickens die, so don't get eggs. So she had real control of everybody. So, and no one had money. That was the other thing. Only only Madame and the elites had money. So anyway, I mean, they had a little bit of money, but they got paid nothing, and they were owned. So they really didn't have money. So we're talking to those guys, and I'm getting their story, and I'm telling them about Rick's Cafe. And one guy saw them. Oh yeah. I said, so can you get? Does any of you guys have VCRs? And they said, no. And I said, I'll get you pictures. So they said, good. So, and then we kind of laid out, okay, we need to do this to this site and paint that down and get that and maybe have some access to this. And So, I gave him a little list of little projects of that nature, and how to have the road run off the other direction for parking, and where this should be and how that should work, and all the above. And just, preliminary how the club is going to be. And so we drive back up, and by that time it's kind of dinner time with mom. So we go in the kitchen, and she's telling me more stories, and Rick is translating for me, and I'm getting better and better at understanding Portuguese, and better, and I always do better at under. It's now we're on week 4, and Michael, Michael's there, and I'm hanging with Michael, and he's got his own thing going on. He's singing at a club, and and I go and see him every now and then, but I'm not like, everyone's like enamored with Michael, and he's like I said, he's got 20 different girlfriends. He's having sex with every woman, and little does he know that it's not because of him. It's just that he's American, and these women want to get the heck out of Dodge. Well, I am very, very happy just to have the kind of clan life that I have, and having dinner. I have that family, and the fishing village, and I don't need to have the nightlife that distraction. And I go there once in a while, especially when there's 4 kids between the ages of 16 and 21 who really want to go to the clubs. They can't get in. They never can get in. I mean, they're expendables. They can't go to those places unless they are one of the sex girls. Then they can go. But these are good kids. They're not doing that. But they do want to go to the club and dance and have a good time, right? They want to have that. They don't want to sell their soul. Buzios, Brazil, 200 miles north. Right? And a friend of mine who I told the story to, who's a real traveler, actually went there last year, and it was still all there. And when he didn't speak Portuguese, and so he didn't talk to the fishermen and those folks, but at some of the clubs and stores, they remembered Al. So anyway, and then when we haven't gotten to the boys yet, we're getting there. So we're progressing quite nicely, and still there, good. And so the foundation's been poured and built, and the walls are going up, and the roof is up, and the structure is coming to be, and we're putting all the lights in, and the power, and the bar, and doing all that kind of stuff. But the decoration is coming next. The motif. So we are going for Rick's Cafe in Casablanca, right? So I asked the lawyer. So I've been here now a month, and my little Rick has taken me everywhere. So you guys got a lot of stuff here, but it's all one, beautiful Caribbean, kind of aesthetic. And we're going for Rick's, right? So, plus we got to build a kitchen, and we got to have a staff, and we have a few things we still have to work out. And pretty much, I don't think we're going to find this stuff here. We have to go to Rio. He goes, I know just the place. Yep. And I have some business in about a day in Rio, and we can go. Okay, come and pick me up. And, wear one of your nice outfits that the girls have made for you. I said, yeah, no problem. And I said, I'm bringing Rick. I said, oh, you can bring him. I said, give him that look. He goes, okay. But he has to have a much better outfit than he's wearing. So I go, okay. So that night we go there, and it's not the next day, but the next day that we're going to Rio. And so Rick he's never been out of Buzio. So he's like, I'm going to Rio, I'm going to Rio. And so I say to the girls, he needs a suit to look, presentable, because we're going to go to Rio. He can't wear those clothes. And, his baseball cap and his I Love New York t-shirt. No, he can't have that. So he's got to have a nice suit, something, he kind of look like me. So that next day, they show up and they make me another suit. I mean, a real suit. I mean, the clothes they make me are just nice linen pants and nice silk shirts and a jackets that are casual. Not a suit. It wasn't a suit. I looked like Rick. I was like, it had a look to it. These girls got it right, and so they make me a real suit, like I'm a lawyer, like I'm a judge, like I am. And these judges, the guys who were the judges in Buzios, they had these suits and they had these kind of strange bow ties, big bow ties, very 19th century Spanish kind of looking thing. And that's what they made for me, this kind of judgy black suit with a silk shirt and a black silk tie. And I had to say, it was quite. I looked, I can dress up, I can look good. Anyway, and what did they make Jack look like? Like Tartu in Fantasy Island. They the plane, boss, the plane. And so we got in the limo, and I'm in the black suit, and he's in that, and we go to this place that is like a tremendous junkyard in the back of commercial kitchen stuff. I mean, everything you could imagine, every kind of mixer and washer and stove and tons of it, and all in really good shape. It's like gigantic lot back there, but it was covered, and everything had tarps on it, and everything. It wasn't like crap. It was everything in pretty, but lots of it. And then there was a warehouse with every kind of spoon and everything you could imagine. And then you walked through that, and in the front of the building was a really nice, typical, traditional Brazilian restaurant with the gaucho guys and the swords and all of that. Really, every kind of meat you could imagine, and the buffet table of every kind of everything you could imagine, right? So we go in there, and they're like setting up. It's it's maybe 1 o'clock, and they have like a long lunch, and then little tapas things, and then dinner, right? And it's just a kind of continuation of this one meal. And some people start at 2 o'clock and leave at midnight. Anyway, so there's nobody in there. They're all getting prepared, and guys in white jackets are running around and getting prepared. And half the kitchen is out amongst the audience. All of these big flames and fires and rotisseries and cows and sheep and goats and every kind of meat you can imagine. And so I'm just like, whoa. And these two guys are going at it, like screaming at each other at the tops of their lungs. And the you know lawyer kind of stops us, and we were watching this. And the maitre d' comes over and knows the lawyer. He goes, "Your table, sir," and takes us over to the table. We kind of go over there, and the argument is still going on. I mean, even though those two guys, one is obviously the chef, and the other guy is obviously the boss because he's got a really nice suit, and no one would be yelling at the chef like this unless it was the boss. And I'm picking up three-quarters of what they're screaming at. And it's a kind of, I'm the boss, you're nothing. I'm the only reason people come here because I'm the chef, and I'm the great artist chef. And they're going at it like this. And it's probably, they do it every day. But this is like almost coming down to blows. So the lawyer goes, "We have to intercede here." So he says to Jack, "Jack, you stay here." And Jack goes, "I'm with him." Jack has now been being cheeky with the lawyer, right? I'm with him, meaning me. So like, let's go, come on. So we go over there, and the lawyer basically walks right between them, and they become quiet. And this is when I realized the lawyer has more juice than just being a lawyer. And he starts going on about, "Come on, guys, you're a great team, blah, blah, blah." And it's obvious to me that this is not, this has just been building up over the months and years that these guys have been working together. And I basically say, you know, something has to change here. You guys can't do the same thing day after day after day and expect things to get better. And the boss looks at me and goes to the lawyer, "Who's he?" And he's Madame's owl. And he goes, "That's the guy?" And the lawyer goes like this. And he goes, "Oh, excuse me, sir. I didn't realize who you were. I'm so honored to meet you. This is in Rio, 200 miles away from Buzios." I go, "Okay. So then you know why I'm here." "Oh, yes. You're building the great Xenons of Buzios." I said, "Yeah, that's it." Anyway, so he goes, "Whatever I have is yours. I owe everything to the madame." And I go, "Okay, sounds like a plan. So why don't we have lunch? Chef, what do you got for us?" And so I kind of bring the energy, of respect for this guy to the same level as that guy. And then the chef picks that up and is like enamored by it, and it goes through, we walk over to all the cuts of meat and this and that. And I say, "Chef, why don't you just prepare something for us, a nice meal, and just keep bringing it to us?" Because I know how Brazilian meals go now. And so he's got this little smile on his face, and he goes off. And so his boss sits down with us, and we start talking. He wants to know what the grand, Xenons is going to be like. And I say, "Well, it's not going to be Xenons. It's going to be something better, something more. Xenons is New York. This is Brazil. This is going to be, not just Brazil, where Brazil came from. Africa." He goes, "Africa?" And I go, "Yep, yep, yep, yep." Because anyway, so we start talking about all that, and I tell him that it's going to be based on Rick's, and he's really excited. And I go, "What's going on with you and your chef? I mean, you're like his dad, and you're like, and he goes, he's like my son, and it's just gotten to a terrible place. We can't seem to fix it, and no matter what I try or he tries, we both try, but it just doesn't work." I said, "You know what that means?" He goes, "No, please tell me." He goes, "You need to break up. He needs to go on his own. He needs to, get outside of your shadow. You used to be a great chef. That's why you have all this stuff. You got all these restaurants all over Rio. He needs to be on his own. So why don't you let him come to work for us? We need a chef." And he goes, "That's a great idea. And what I think needs to be is that when he brings, the meal in, and as all chefs do, towards the end of the meal, they'll sit down with us and have a drink, and we talk about this." And so that's what happens, after the great meal. And he picks up my little scent and all he does is tell the chef what a great meal it is. His boss, "Oh, Jack, you're doing such a great. Oh, this is such a great meal. Oh, and he's giving him all of this praise and accolades, and it's like healing this raft that had just been a war. And he is, and then when the guy sits down, Jacques sits down to have the drink with us. He tells stories about how everything he's learned from Pierre here, who's actually French African, and that's why he's such a great chef, is because he was the student. Anyway, so they're going on and on and on, and that's when Pierre says, "What Al has brought to my attention is that we are so close that we're rubbing each other the wrong way. And I'm like your father, and I'm holding you back. You need to be let." He goes, "That's what I needed. I need to be let go." And he goes, "Well, I'm letting you go, and I'm asking you to go to work for him at Buzios. They need a chef." And the guy is like, and because people are talking about this place all over Brazil, Madame's new club in Buzios. And so, so we then get out. I have a little pad, and I start drawing pictures of what the place looks like. And this is the kitchen, and chef, you need to lay it out. And I went in your kitchen and it's amazing, and you got like 50 people back there. Do you think you could bring three that could help you put that together? That wouldn't break up this. And he said, oh, yes, yes, I think I have three people. And if, Jacques here lets them go, then that's good. So anyway, the boss and the chef now are back to being father and son in love, and they now have a project where they're going to design the kitchen and get all the stuff from the warehouse and get trucks and drive it up next week and start putting the kitchen together. And Jacques going to come and help with all his technical experience of kitchens, and they're in love again. And so we finish the meal. It's about 4 o'clock. We're not going back to Buzios. And the lawyer says, I have a very nice house here, and we'll stay there. And I said, okay, but it's still early, and we've totally satiated. We don't need to go to a restaurant or get anything to eat for a good long time. While we're here, as I was telling you, there's other things that we can't get at Buzios that I'm sure are here. Because you are the man here. You are the dude. You are connected, so what I need next is decorations. The club is coming together. The component parts, the bar, the things that are built in, they're all coming very nicely. The dining room, the different club rooms, the dance floor, everything's coming together just right. The lighting. But we need decorations. We need something more than what we got going on. And he goes, I just know the place. So we get in the limo and we drive to the real rich part of the thing. And there's lots of these fancy stores and fancy restaurants and art galleries, lots of art galleries. And nothing here is cheap. Everything is the finest of the fine. And so we pull up to this one kind of art gallery that is a whole corner of a block, and we come around and we go in through a gate, and it's not only the corner of the block. It's like, this art gallery owns the whole block. The other art galleries that are part of it are rented out, and it's just so it can have a cachet of art galleries, right? So we park in the back, and it's almost like there's a foundry, there's all kinds of work areas, and in Brazil they have everything open air in industrial building kind of things, factories, and then it's covered with a big open roof so the air can get through because they don't have air conditioning really, except for rich people. Anyway, so we walk through that, and I see all these sculptors being things, and I worked in a foundry, and I see that they're doing castings, and all kinds of art are being done here. And as I walk into this place, my little spidey sense goes way up, and it's like super duper energetic. And I'm looking around at the people who work here, and there's guys who look like they're human, but they look like they're oxen. I mean, they're lifting up 700-pound pieces of stone. I mean, big, thing. I don't know how much, but at least that. I mean, I'm going, something going on here. And Jack is like kind of freaking out, and his little spidey sense is really up, up, up. And he's in his tattoo suit, and he's like, he wants to get out of there. And the energetics of the lawyer has changed too, and he is like in a different form that I've not seen him. He's not in control, Even when he's with Madame, he's in control, of himself at least. He's got his 360 on. So anyway, I say, so what is this place? Oh, we're going to meet one of the great connoisseurs of art in Brazil. He has a collection like no one else's. So we walk in and we meet someone of a higher level organizational structure, and they say, he says, he knows the lawyer. Sir, how are you doing? Our master is in his office. Let me escort you there and announce you. So he does that, announces, and this guy, he is like, he's straight up a Dorian Gray. And there's a gigantic painting of him, you know, in his office. And it's like, and he is, totally German. He clicks his heels, the whole thing, serious German accent. And when he's there with the lawyer, he speaks English. That's he's not speaking Portuguese, he's not speaking German, he's speaking English. So so he greets us. He invites us in to sit down, and he's looking at me and Jack like he's licking his chops, like we are an hors d'oeuvre. And he's just being so pleasant, and he's bringing in this thing of drinks, and there's two trays. And the lawyer says, no, we won't have anything to drink, you, you know, senor, or whatever term he used of great respect. I mean, I hadn't seen the lawyer give respect like this to anybody. So I'm going, something is going on. And so, anyway, so the, I don't even want to call him. Oh, I don't want to call him master because he wasn't at that level, but he was, you know, the great. I'll call him the great. And he was the great in every way. He was grating. He was a thing that you would be a sieve through, and he thought of himself as the great. Anyway, so he goes, so gentlemen, what are you here for? Seems like business. And so the lawyer explains who I am, and he goes, oh, you're the man designing the nightclub at Buzio's, the Madame's, Xenon's. And I go, well, it's going to be more than that. That's why, lawyers told me that if I want, I need, the club itself is pretty much done. And all of the component parts and the environment are done. But I need paintings, and I need bric-a-brac, and I need tables and chairs. And he says, you were like, oh, what he really was, instead of the great, he was the great uh, decorator. That's what he was. He was like, everything was to the amazing point of taste, right? And I started to go into my riff about taste and the Bauhaus. And he goes, oh, that's not taste. It's rabble. I said, well, they were trying something new. And he goes, what you need is something that has weight, spiritual weight. I kind of look at him, spiritual? He goes, yes, psychic weight. I said, psychic weight? And he goes, yes, like this. And he kind of goes like this. And I feel this wave of auric energy come over the three of us who are in this room. And it hit the lawyer and poor Jack like a ton of bricks. And I had already, once I had sensed this stuff, I had put mine 360 up. And the lawyers couldn't even, he totally crumbled. And I was like, oh, wow. And I did my little going into state thing. And the guy goes, who are you? And he comes over to me, and I'm not moving. I'm just focused on breathing and being in state. And he goes, ooh, you're so scrumptious. I could eat you up. And I go, okay, that's enough of this. Step back. And I actually put my step back, and I put my auric field out saying, step back. And he was like, oh, that felt so good. I've had no one do that to me for 80 years. And I'm going, how old are you? Because he looked like he was in his 40s. He goes, well, my birth certificate says that I'm 98, but I was born in 1840. And I then look at the pain, look at him. I said, Dorian Gray? He goes, some people call me that. And I say, so you're German, right? So you're that old, so you are, Mengele's buddy. You were at the camps. You were doing, and he goes, puts his hand up. He goes, what are you? And I go, I am me. I am awake. And he goes, oh, you were a student of Buddhists. And I said, I'm a student of everybody. Anybody who's loves co-creation. And he looks at me. He goes, you are not of the master. And I go, hey, you got that right. And he's just giggling. And he goes, this is so nice. I have not met anyone of you in a long time. I said, yeah, a long time. And I go, buddy, I'm not even one of them. He goes, but you are a master. I said, no, 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 no. I'm an adept. He goes, no, you're more than an adept. You're a magician. I said, no, if I'm anything, I'm a shaman. And he goes, no, you're not the rabble. And he keeps doing this. We keep having this little, no, you're not this, I'm that. Anyway, so I said, listen, okay, enough of this. Let us, I want to see your shop. I want to see, what I know you can do. Just looking at the stuff you got up here. I want paintings like this. That when that rich scum from Europe comes in, they will give us all their money. They will be ecstatic. They will be happy. They will be joyous. They will become better human beings. I want you to put love's co-creation into this art in a shamanic way. And he goes, well, I don't think I can do that, but I can come close. I think I can get you want me to decorate. I think I can get you the decorating feel that you're looking for. And he goes, so I hear something, you're not doing a Xenons there. Yeah, I said, it's not like McDonald's. This is something special unto itself, just like Xenons was special unto itself. And he goes, well, what are you looking for? And I said, Rick's Cafe, 1940. And he goes, oh, I've seen the movie. Yes, yes, yes. I'm just the stuff. Just the things. I can decorate just the way you want. And so I said, well, you gotta unlock these two. So he goes like this, and they're ready to shit in their pants. The kid, runs out and vomits in the hallway, right? And the lawyer is a little better at composing himself. So I say, okay, let us see your shop. So he takes us out into the back where the painters are and where the sculptors are and where the woodworkers are. And so I said, okay. I had my little blueprints and I rolled them out here. So here's the bar. Here's everything. All of this is built. What I want is a wooden sculpture to cover the whole back, right? And not just a mirror, just that. But I want reflective surfaces put in it. And I want it. And he says, I've got it. I'll make a drawing. You'll have it tomorrow. I said, okay, sounds good. So then the next place, I said, okay, there's 4 salons, right? And this one's for gambling. This one's like the titty bar. This one's, I got it. I'll make drawings. You'll see it tomorrow. Okay. Now here is the large space, and here's this wall here. I want a painting to be there, and I want a painting to be over there, and I want a painting to be over there. I want it to be feng shui. I want it to energize just what I described to you, what I want. This is not a problem. I think we can do that. And then there's 2 other spaces, the dancing area and behind the band. I wanted something decorative. And I wanted a lot of, because there were these open air, there were no doors or windows. The only door window was between the main room of the nightclub and the dance floor, which was outside. The band cell and the band and the dancing were all outside on the beach. So people dance on the sand. And it was covered. It had a big roof that covered it. And that was, maybe 10,000 square foot dance floor there. So anyway, there were bars and other things. I wanted things, and I gave him the 411 and all that. And so he says, well, let us show you how it's going to be done. So we go into his painting salon, and he's got 4 or 5 people there painting, and they're just like our chauffeur. And they have these like welding glasses over their eyes, and they're painting away. And I can sense that they're all in shamanic state. They're on another planet. They're painting in another dimension. And those paintings are dimensional paintings. And then I kind of look in, they have all these little pots of paint, and I'm kind of energetically, muscle testing it. And he's kind of chuckling. He goes, you are something, aren't you? And I'm just like, just this guy is like so creepy, beyond creepy. And so he, there that, and I look over at this work table, and that's someone is making the paints, and I go over to them, and they are also welding glasses, and they have these little strange suckers on the fingertips, right? And I don't even know what that's about, and so so I look around, and he's got all this shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves of all of these extracts, right? And I'm having Rick read the labels on the bottles for me, and he doesn't want to be there. He is free, he's like always keeping me between that guy and him, and he doesn't like anybody. All the people there they're like not regular human beings, they're just not, Anyway, so I'm looking at this, and then I go into the back room where they have all this. It's like almost a greenhouse of plants and gardens and things bubbling in pots, and this is black magic, right? Satanic magic, Luciferian magic, not just the illusion of technology like we got. This is some heavy stuff, and I'm kind of looking around, and Jack won't go in that room. He just won't go in there, right? And so, the dresser comes in, and he's saying, you are something special. just cut that out, please. Just call me Al, or hey, buddy, or just stop this, Bela Lugosi thing. And he kind of chuckles. And he goes, are you scared of me? I said, please, no. Not really. I'm annoyed, I'm like uncomfortable, but no, not above that, right? So he goes, well, I think we need to go up to my apartment and make a list, a contract, and the lawyer and I will go over those details, but I want to get all the aesthetic details with you because I can tell you are an aesthetic adept. And I said, well, okay, that's the nicest thing you've said so far. Oh, I said you were so yummy. I said, no, stop that. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Don't go there. So anyway, we go up, and his place is like something out of a 1920s movie. These felt couches and curtains and wood carvings and paintings, and everything was unbelievably exquisite, beyond anything Madame Olga Kluver had in her curiosity shop. I mean, these things were, and everything was magical. Everything had a spell on it. Everything was a sitchin. I'm looking out, and I'm, and I'm doing my little thing to kind of ward the sitchins, and he goes, you know that sitchin. Oh, you're special. And I'm, stop it. And before we even go up the stairs, Rick vomits again. He just can't go up there any further. And I say, Rick, why don't you go out to the car? And the lawyer goes, no, I think he has to stay with us. And I kind of look at the lawyer, and the lawyer gives me the look like if he is not with us, he is not coming back with us. Someone's going to just pick him up as a party favor. And so I said, okay. I mean, he didn't tell me that, but that's the look he kind of, and he really didn't like Rick, but he was going, no, he's got to stay with us. So we go up there, and I kind of give Rick, I had some peppermint in my extract in my pocket. And I said, put this on your lips, put it on your third eye. Don't put it in your eye, and keep that bottle. And every time you feel a little sick, you have to put another dab on your lips. So he says, okay. So we go up to that apartment and see all this amazing stuff. And we sit down at this couch. And it's a quite large space. It's almost the whole of what downstairs is. So this whole big room is got to be at least 1,800 square feet, at least. And it's got verandas and windows, and it's just amazing, and flowers, and just amazing stuff everywhere. And the flowers look like, they're not like average flowers. They're like dimensional flowers. They're like undulating. Everything is kind of undulating. And then I kind of look over, and over in the corner, and the lawyer doesn't see this, and the kid doesn't see this, but there are bodies hanging on meat hooks and everything, the walls and the ceiling, the floors, are all these big stones. And they almost look like your libraries in the Akashic Record. And there's these bodies, and some are, just the top of the body and the bottom's gone. And there's about 4 or 5 bodies over there. A couple of them are kind of not all dead. They're wiggling around, and they're not screaming or anything because all of their throats have been ripped out. And they're just puddles of blood and everything. And energetically, I can sense that this guy basically did this to these guys and didn't let them die, so they would just be terrified. And he did one at a time, so the other 3 would see that one guy getting torn apart, and they couldn't do anything about it. And he then does this thing again, and the lawyer and the kid are stuck, right? And then he goes, "You're just so sweet. I just love to eat you up. Just have you as a snack." I said, "Well, you can't do that. Sorry. Your little magic trick don't really work on me." And then he does another thing like this, and he is no longer that dapper, tall gentleman. He is a 8-foot reptile, greener than, the big giant, and he's wearing a Nazi outfit. And the blood from those bodies is dripping down these teeth, and his big paw of a hand, which has, claws that will rip you apart, he comes and he puts that on my shoulder, like, okay, you think your 360 is strong enough for this? And I'm kind of going, okay. And I just kind of do that to him, and he kind of gets pushed back a bit. And I go, "I'm telling you, buddy, I serve love's co-creation. Get it in your head. This ain't gonna happen." And the 3 of us are walking out of here. And yes, I want everything we agreed on. I realize that's that. And it's not going to affect me or anyone close to me. It's going to affect really schmucky people who I want them to have the effect you're going to put on them, because they're already there. And by you double downing with your decorations, it's going to open a wall where something can change. And he goes, "How long have you been in Buzios?" And I go, month and a half. And he goes, "You haven't felt the master yet?" And he goes, "Yes, I know something's very weird in that hospital. And I know there's somebody there that you probably call master. He's a little more, got more juice than you do. But so what? Big deal. It's all an illusion." And he just keeps going, "You're just so special." I said, Stop it. I said, "Listen, I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to dislike you. I actually like you. You have no friends. Everyone here is terrified of you. Would you like somebody who you could just talk to, just hang out with? And he goes, I don't hang out. I hang people up, but I don't hang out. I said, you're missing a lot here. You really are. He goes, I'm a demon, you know? There, what hope is there for me? I said, there's hope for everybody. Everyone can go home. You know? And he goes, you are something special. I said, no, I'm just a servant to love's co-creation. I'm a lucky bastard. I'm an artist in the first person. I'm the savage. He goes, oh yes, the savage. There aren't too many of you left. And I said, well, left, here, gone, tomorrow, whatever. Come on, let's get on this little common ground here because I need to work with you, and actually, I like you. And he goes, you actually do like me. And it was just, that moment at the Oscars when Sally Fields got her little thing. You actually like me. He actually did. You actually like me. I said, yeah, I could be your friend. He goes, well, what's a friend? A friend is someone who's honest with you both ways. I've been honest with you. You've been honest with me. You showed me who you are, and, you look pretty good in that uniform. And he goes, this? I know that's not just an SS uniform. That's a demonic uniform, I wouldn't be here if I couldn't see all this stuff. Meaning these guys can't see it. They're froze in terror. Me, not so much, You're giving me a little bit of a clump here, but a little indigestion. And he goes, what are you? And I go, well, I've been schooled in many schools. I'm a bard, and I'm a rabbi. Rabbi? He goes, you're Jewish? I said, I'm not Hebrew, no. I was schooled at Lubavitcher, and basically, I was not there to be your basic rabbi. I was there to understand and study and research Kabbalah. And he goes, that's why you are the way you are. I say, yes. I'm like, bard and rabbi, kind of, a half-breed, per se. And he goes, yes. So then we start talking, and we keep kind of parsing what a friend is, And, what's the most important thing about a friend is that you can trust your back to them. And he said, oh, you can never trust your back to me? I said, don't say that. I believe we can get there. And he goes, you are something interesting. I said, cut that out. that little magic trick ain't going to cut it, I'm not going to give up on you. I like you, You're not the average, demon schmuck, He goes, okay, so we can trust each other. We can, neither of us are going to eat each other, What else is a friend? I said, well, friend is someone who does something for the other one without thinking of what they're going to get in return. He goes, I've never done that. I said, well, that's why we're going to be friends. I'm going to be the first guy. So anyway, we go on like this, and I look at a clock, and the freaking clock has stopped. And I go, so we're out of time here, right? And we're like off clock. And he goes, that's right. No one else is listening. Not even your master. And he goes, well, he knows everything I do, and I wouldn't be able to do this unless he wanted me to do it. So obviously, we're meant to have this conversation and do what you say we're going to do, become friends, because otherwise, this wouldn't happen. I said, okay, sounds good to me. So I said, anyway, I think we worked this out. First off, I never want to see that. And if I come up in this room again, that's not going to be there, right? He goes, well, then you're not going to come up in this room. I said, okay. That's fine. I'm good with that, you know. Where is there another room we can go? And he goes, well, not in this building. He goes, you know, when you come here next, if you do, and I really don't see a need to, unless, and he goes, really, no, I have everything that I think you want. And, you know, these drawings I'm going to make will be shamanic, so you'll be able to tell 100% if that's right or wrong. I said, good. So why don't we bring these guys out of it, but not here? Bring them somewhat awake so we can walk them back to your lot back there where the car is, and then take every little stitching that you stuck on these guys off. I don't want any residual demonic anything. Okay, friends? He goes, friends. So he kind of does his little thing. The guys are not there, but they get up enough to, mud puppet their way down to the car. And then he brings them back 100%. And he's back to being his handsome-looking self. And basically, he says, okay, everything's fine. See you later. Bye. So we get in the car and we go back to the lawyer's office. And, they are really, so yes, they're no longer touched, or there's no residue of demonic anything, but they are not, they have been affected. A poor little kid. So, I basically tell them the story about Grandma and the monster in the movie theater, and they kind of get it. And I say, listen, Jack, you are my number one guy. I'm never, ever letting anything happen to you. And I'm going to show you how to protect yourself, and so it'll be fine. You are my Padawan. Padawan? You mean like he had seen, Star Wars. Yep, just like that. I'm like your Obi-Wan Kenobi. I always think of you that way. I said, well, I can continue. Anyway, so we go to the lawyer's office. We have a very light meal because we had such a big meal. And he's not too far from the restaurant tour guys. And so next morning we wake up, we take, get prepared, showered, dressed, and we go over to the restaurant guy and have a very nice breakfast. And they are still happy with each other and excited about the new project. And I have a whole list of stuff that they're going to get, and they have a copy of the blueprint of the space of the kitchen, and they draw on how they're going to lay it out, so it all looks good. And I say, we haven't really, concreted the floor because we're waiting to see where you want to put the sinks and the this and the that, and where you need drains and all of that kind of stuff. So why don't you do that now, right? Put all the drainage and the water lines, and we'll have all of that ready for you by the time you get there. And they said, great, okay. And I said, also, whatever big machines, whatever kind of power consumption, whatever gas, whatever that, make that on the drawing, right? So we're eating our breakfast, they're drawing away. They do it, we get it all done in about 40 minutes. And then I say, lawyer guy and kid, I want you guys to stay here with these guys and work whatever, contract, paperwork, whatever. I'm going back to the dresser, and I don't think you guys need to go there. So, me and the chauffeur with the welding glasses go, and the chauffeur puts down the window so he can talk to me, and he goes, I am a creature of the dressers. I said, I kind of got that idea when I saw all those other painting guys with the welding glasses like yours. I said, do you paint? He goes, well, I do this and other things. And I can draw a little bit. I said, so, what part of you is you and what part of you is him? He goes, well, pretty much all of us. When we're not being controlled by him, we are us. And when we are being controlled by him, we are him. That's kind of how it works. And I said, so you know what a mud puppet is? He goes, yeah, the human race. So what more controlled are you than a mud puppet? And he said, a lot more. Mud puppet might feel guilty, might be upset, might not be able to do the things when their strings are pulled. Me, not a problem. I said, no. So I said, did you ever? He goes, yes. And the question I was going to ask was, did you go get the people for the dresser to eat? And he said, yeah. He said, I took part. He goes, that's what happens when you're possessed by a demon. I said, okay, on we go. So he rolls up the window, and we went to see the guy, and he showed me his drawings and all the above. And he said, and so you understand Sitchins. I assume you're going to put some in there to keep me away. I said, you darn tootin'. And he goes, the people at the hospital, it won't, I'm not up to their level, so it won't really affect them. I said, well, we'll come to that bridge when we come to it. So, we agree, puts out his hand, I look at his hand, and I shake his hand, and I say, friend. He said, friend. And he said, this will be an interesting experience. And he said, so I will come to Buzios because I go to the hospital. And I said, once I have a relationship with those guys, no problem. He said, friend. I said, friend. I went back out. Limousine guy went and picked up the lawyer and Jack, and we went back to Buzios. So, next week, the kitchen arrives with the boss and the chef brings 3 people, and we're about 95% done with everything. I mean, it looks really great. All the buildings and everything are built. All the utilities are in. Everything's working. But now we just have to dress the place, right? So the dresser shows up, right? And he said, well, I assumed you didn't put the Sitchins in yet, and you want, and I'm going to lay this stuff out. And I said, okay, friend. So we do that, and he does an amazing job, and what he does exactly what I wanted him to do. It turns that thing into this something that you can't resist having a good time, can't resist being happy. You could go in there really pissed off and you're going to come out and you're just happier than happy. It'll be the best night you ever had in your life. And that's what I wanted that thing to be. That's what theater is. That's the magic of theater. But this guy, he's got, a whole big ball of unbelievableness. And the paintings were just right and everything, the sculptures, the drapes, everything he had was because he's the dresser. He dressed this place like no one else could, And he had a few of his minions, like monkeys, crawling around, doing all kinds of stuff and fixing this and fixing that, which pretty much the crew that I had were a little, as soon as these guys showed up and started doing stuff, they kind of went back home. So the dresser took about 2 days to fix this place up to, right? And then he said, I've been staying at the hospital, and the master wants to meet you. There's going to be a dinner party, and the madame has been told to bring you as her accompaniment. And I said, well, I feel honored. And he goes, well, most people, the madame gets to come to these parties, and other notorieties from other countries do, but not many people. Not the lawyer, not the police chief, nobody of that level, low level, get to come to the hospital. So I go, okay, I look forward to this. This should be interesting. So I basically, tomorrow night, and then we're going to have a big open. We're not having an opening. I don't have a staff. Give 3 weeks, and this place will open. And if you want to come, bring your gang, and that's okay. He goes, really? You're going to let? Hey, we're friends, right? And he goes, friends, we are. So I said, not a problem, right? So, I go back to my clan in the fishing village, have dinner, and I'm going to, I have my nice black suit, and I make adjustments and really snazz because I'm telling them I'm going to the hospital, and everyone's going, right? So, I slip some herbs into little pockets here and there, and do a few little shamanic things to my suit. I show the best sewer how to sew a sitchin into my suit and on the inside of my two lapels. And I draw it for her, and she's, stitches it up in there. And so 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I'm going to go on for another 15, 20 minutes. And tonight, I'm going to do, the second, from where I'm going to leave you off to where we're going to go. And we're going to go into state here. This is just a nice griot story. So anyway, Madame comes to pick me up in her big rolling living room, her gigantic big Rolls Royce from 1938, and it's got flowers, and it's a really beautiful vehicle. And we drive up and then go into the the area of the big gate is open, and they got the guys with the machine guns, and we drive into where the hospital is, and we go up in front, and the front of the building is just it's just really unbelievable Spanish Rococo kind of columns, and just really amazing kind of place. And I could just tell all of the dressers' little handiwork here and there. And so we walk in, and there's a big party of people. And, there's the dresser, and then all these other guys in really swank 1930s tuxedos. And they all look like the dresser. They all look like they're in their 40s, right? And I look up on the walls of the big hall entrance, and there's a staircase going up on this side and a staircase going up on this side, and the big opening going into like a ballroom, and upstairs was the upstairs. And along those walls of the staircases were about 20, 30 paintings, and I'm going, oh, there's that guy, and there's that guy, and there's that guy. And they're all, that kind of ageless painting and ageless person. And another little bit of dark magic. And not dark, satanic, Luciferian, right? So there's this group, and the dresser comes and meets me and Madame, and she's got a really nice outfit, and she's actually looking pretty good, for 2.5-ton slug. And we walk in, and I give her my arm, and we walk through that thing, and there's an energetic field there. And once you walk through, it's like a little different than it looked like from the outside. And there is, all these tables, and then, around a dance floor, and a bandstand over here, and a podium, a elevated thing, and there is a king's chair, and on the king's chair is this guy, amazingly handsome and charismatic, and you just can't take your eyes off him, and that's the friggin' master, right? And all of the other Nazis in their tuxedos come in, and he's not wearing one of those. He's got this red velvet kind of tuxedo with a big long cape, and it comes up this high. And he's like, what kind of Halloween costume is he wearing? But it's like perfect for this guy, right? And I was going, okay. So he gets up from his seat, and he comes down the steps to the dance floor where we're walking towards him, and we stop, and we're all in a line. The Nazis on either side of us, Madame and me, and he comes over and Madame, and he kisses her hand, and then he goes, "So you are he, Owl?" And I go, "Yes." "And you are the master, I assume?" And he goes, "Yes." And he said, "I saw that you are now the dresser's new friend. He's never had a friend. It's good for him to have a friend." And I said, "Yeah, I think so. That's kind of why I offered it. And you know what? I would like to be your friend." And he said, "Aren't you special?" And I said, "Okay, okay, okay. Enough of that. You know, we got to be on this friend thing where we're yes, you're the master and I'm just a, shamanic, plumber. It's okay, okay, but it's going to be, you haven't toasted me yet because you realize I'm offering you something that you have not had around you. Someone who will actually care about you and not be petrified of you." And that's when you are. I said, "Stop." And he kind of smiles, goes, "No one ever tells me to stop." I said, "Oh, okay. Can you please, as a friend, not do that?" And he kind of smiles. He goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, okay, I won't do that." And right there, he kind of changes into a normal guy, at least with me. Everyone else is still petrified. But he goes, "Do you like billiards?" And I go, "Yeah, I love billiards." He goes, "Let us go. What about all these folks?" "Oh, let's go play billiards." So we go in there. He has some really great juice. And so I'm sipping on this stuff, and we're playing billiards. And he goes, "Quite interesting strategies you use." "Yeah, I don't want to win. I just want to keep you from winning." He starts to laugh, and he goes, "Well, that's the only way you can fight a war." I said, "Duh." So he laughs again. He goes, "You're just, I can't." He goes, "Okay, I won't say that. But you are a pretty special guy." I said, "What can I say? I'm in love's co-creation." He goes, "Please don't use that term." "Then you stop." "Okay. Well, right from here on, you won't say that. I won't say this." And that's kind of how we went, right? So then he goes, "Well, no one's going to win this game unless I, throw my magic around." I said, "Yeah, and what fun is that? Aren't you having more fun doing it this way?" He goes, "Actually, I am." So he goes, "I hear you play Go." I go, "Yes." He goes, "I love that game." I said, "So do I." So let's go play Go. So he picks up another bottle of something else, and he goes, "You like these things, don't you?" And it's a thermos or a spliffs. I go, "Yeah, I like those things." I go, "No, you haven't done it." I said, "Nope, nope, nope. Satan's honor. Not these are just really good, but because if I tried to play with these things, what would happen? You'd vomit, you'd make a mess, you'd be upset. I'd lose my new friend, right? No, I go, "Okay, you're right." So we sit down at the Go table. We're drinking this unbelievable stuff that came from God knows what century, and I'm smoking these spliffs. And so he goes, "How much of the story do you know?" And I said, "Well, I kind of know a good deal of it, and I want to say one question here, Master." He goes, "Yes." I said, "You're not Lucifer." And he smiles. He goes, "That's true. I'm not Lucifer. All I am is a very old soul from another time, and I basically am owned by Lucifer." And I said, "So you got a free will?" And he goes, "I did at one time." I said, "Well, you don't kind of give that up." And he said, "Well, my younger years, I thought living forever and being all powerful and being rich and having whatever I wanted just by thinking of it would be really cool." I said, "Really cool?" And he laughed. He goes, "Okay, I'm just like having fun with words." I said, "Yes, well, that's what words are for, right? Spell." And he's mine. So he goes, "So how much do you know?" I said, "Well, at least from what I hear, you know, so you weren't a demon. You weren't an angel that came down when Lucifer broke heaven. And he goes, no, no, I was a human being with a free will, right? One of those creatures that Lucifer um, hates. But no, it just loathes, just can't stand. And that's why he takes their soul. And we become Lucifer's servant forever. But in a pretty comfortable cage. I said, are you bored with this yet? I mean, how long have you been doing this now? He goes, well, within this frame. And I go, frame. And he goes, yes, you must understand that. Let me see what I get out of what you just said, and you can tell me yes or no, and then, give me the 411. And he goes, oh, that's good. That's the way a shaman and a adept are. No, not shaman. A sensei. He goes, no, I couldn't be anything lower than a... I said, buddy, you are the master. Whatever you are is whatever you are. You don't have to get snooty just by whatever term I use, I'm just going to call you hey, sweetie, from now on. And he started to laugh because, okay. We're friends. Yes, we're friends, right? And you got the 411 on friends are, right? We trust each other. I can trust my back. I'll do things for you. You do things for me. We don't expect any. We do it because we want to make each other happy and assist each other on our path. And he goes, yep, that's it. Okay, so what do you know? And I said, well, okay. So this whole experience of the universe is an illusion. It's Lucifer's illumination and a bubble of illumination of an illusion. And he goes, more or less. There's some fine points to it, but more or less. And I said, okay, so, and within that construct, it's linear time, but it's dimensional time too, so things aren't just what they seem, right? And he goes, yep. And so every now and then, certain things build up, and so there needs to be blown out, or otherwise the bubble will pop, and everything will go back in the day when all things were dark. And then the word was, yeah, he goes, exactly. So that's why there are catastrophes on a global scale. Asteroids hit things, wipe everything out, start all over again. That's the frame, right? Every so often, that frame, and there are different levels of frame. And he said, yep. And I said, so the asteroid comes and wipes the dinosaurs out because they weren't, that experiment wasn't working quite what it was, whoever started it rolling wanted it to be. Certain elements of that experiment were left over, and that's what the reptiles are. That's what the dresser is. Okay? And he goes, that's correct. The dresser does not, or never had a free will. Well, I did. And so I am, demonic human, if you want to put it in a term. And I said, okay. So asteroid comes and wipes it all out. That's like almost clean slate. A few things are left over, a few little mice, and they become humans and all the other mammals. And all during that little thing, it's not really evolution. It's just things get juiced up here and there. This because it's one big lab experiment. And Lucifer is just trying to create the eternal dominion of hell for himself, where he can be, the opposite of love's egos. Exactly. So, okay. So, we don't always have the asteroid wiping us out. We have other things, a little X-flare here and there. And then there are other things, like there's a flood. He goes, right. And all during this time, who's ever here has many, many, many times risen to a level of technological and social development way past where we are now. He goes, oh, you mud puppets, you ugly bags of water, are not the top of the heap. The only thing that makes you special from anyone else is that you folks have a conscience, that you still have a free will. But we have deluded you so much that you don't even know that. You're so stuck into religions and money and power and this and that. And that's what Buzios is. Everyone from all over the world who think they're rich and powerful come here, and we play with them. The crowd that's going to show up, they're bankers, or people from the EU, people from Russia, people from every organization, every fascist, every secret society, every powerful group. Every group comes here. You think going to Davos or going to Bohemian Grove is this is like the pinnacle, Buzios, and coming into this place. And what we do here is, all of the Nazi boys, right? They're like Dorian Gray. They during World War II, Mengele was someone like me, a demonic creature from a long time ago that does Lucifer's bidding. And, in the Roman mythology, Ares, the god of war, was what I was. I just, that wasn't my bag, but that's what Mengele was. That's what, and none of these creatures they're like shared components. They're not, everyone's going to be like Ares or everyone's going to, no, they're kind of got, it's like Django. And I go, okay, right? And so, every now and then you have a flood. And I said, what was the last one? I've heard rumors of this thing called the mud flood that happened in the 1840s. He goes, yes, it was a little earlier than that, but that was that. And it did wipe out a good portion of number of species and a good portion of humanity, almost by half. And I said, so that's like, less than 300 years ago, and no one remembers that? He goes, well, look what look what the dresser did to your lawyer and your young friend. So, yeah, I guess you're right. And then he goes, and then we have all these other apparatuses, television, radio, movies. This is all mind control. And then we totally control all your governments, all of everything, your banking, your everything. And nothing is organic, nothing that you're eating, nothing that your environment is. It's all more than just the illusion that you're in. It's made hyper illusionary, right? And just by you name the technology, we have it controlled by centuries ahead of where you think you are. And the people who think they're the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, they're just middle management. People you're going to meet tonight, they're management, but they're not. They're a little higher. And when they come here, this is. Did you ever hear? This is 1988. And he goes, "Did you ever hear of transhumanism?" And I said, "Isn't that like a cyborg, but a mixture of technology and biology?" He goes, "You are." I said, I said, "Where'd you learn about that? That's not even on the radar of anybody's anything." I said, "Well, I got my sources." And so he goes, "You go, you have your Akashic record." I said, "Yeah, it sees everything. That's why I know I could be your friend." He laughs again, and he goes, "This is going to be fun." And I said, "Well, you're not going to eat me, right? Because you don't have the taste of that guy, of the dresser." He goes, No, I don't do that. I do, I am a psychic vampire, but, if I try to suck on your etheric realm, you would just give me heartburn, and, it would be like a bad acid trip." I said, "Can we take acid together?" He goes, "No, we can't quite go there. I can't even smoke those things with you. I can't do any of those stuff." I said, "Okay, fine with that." And he goes, and you surely don't want to do acid with the dresser. I said, okay, I got that too. Anyway, he goes, your club is going to open soon. I go, yep. And he goes, so the Nazi boys will want to come because they like having sex with lots of women. And I assume that's kind of what's going to happen at your place. I said, well, it's not a brothel, but whatever happens, it's like Las Vegas. Whatever happens there, whatever happens at Rick's stays at Rick's. And we do have an exotic, salon. But it's not something that, you know, you know, we are, what our business is to be an environment where the people will be, just amazingly happy and they can lose all their blues. And he goes, oh, better than Disneyland. I said, yes. And he goes, well, Disney wanted the same thing. I said, yeah, I kind of have an idea of that. And that's Hollywood. And he goes, yes, you have that little Hollywood thing with magic wands. Yes. And he goes, it's so sad how your species has such great potential and always disappoints. And I go, hey, not always. He goes, well, it's out on you, and it's out on the others like you. And I said, there are others like me? And he goes, of course. I mean, right here, right now, this time? He goes, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he goes, you are an adept right now, but you are not too far from being your shamanic sensei self, So you're going to be finding people to come and study with you. And they will be powerful. You just need to help them find their way. And I go, Master, that's quite nice. That's really a sign that you kind of have this idea of friendship. And he goes, well, I realize, just like that game of billiards and this game of Go, I'm not going to win. You're not going to win. So we're friends. And that's the best thing about a friend, And what I do know is that you are going to manifest an unexpected consequence that no one, even me, can figure out what it's going to be. And that's quite interesting. And what I have invited you up, why I want to be your friend, is that I'm going to help you facilitate that unexpected consequence. And I said, well, that's a real friend. And he goes, yep, let's go back out and see what the party's doing. We've had enough time here. And I said, okay. So I got up and went out, and the place was full of people now, and he introduced me to the staff of the hospital, who were not Nazis, who were not mentally controlled, who were just basically people. And there was the head doctor there, the surgeon, and what that hospital, and I asked the hospital, the surgeon guy, so what do you do here? And he goes, well, we basically do plastic surgery. So the movie Brazil is about this place. Go watch the movie Brazil before we go on tonight, and you will be amazed, or see it later. But that's, this is where, Terry got his ideas from. He kind of stumbled into that. And so this hospital they could change your face and your fingerprints, your eyes, and your DNA. And this is before people really, 88, not so much. I mean, they knew about DNA, but they didn't have CRISPR. And these guys could do all the above, right? And he was the head surgeon, and Master was the boss of the whole place. But he kind of had an idea of what was going on. And because his life was so much better than whatever it would have been, and his family had 2 daughters and a lovely wife and a brother, who, just because he was his brother, got to be one of the larger German auto dealerships in Brazil. And so he knew which side the butter was breaded. and he knew he didn't need to know any of this shit, right? But when I walked out of that room with just me and the master, everyone in that whole room was like, "Who's that guy? Who that guy?" Right? And so when the master introduced me to his staff and his staff's family, um, the head guy said, "And these are my two daughters, and this my oldest daughter, Regina, she's a surgeon too. She works here at the hospital. She, you know, can make your face look, bone structure. She does the whole your teeth, your face, your head. You're a different human being, right? How about your other daughter? No, she just goes shopping. You know. So anyway, he said to his daughter, Regina, why don't you take this gentleman?" And he started to call me Rick because everyone knows the club is named Rick. Everyone knows that I built the place. I'm like going to be the face of the place, the personality of the place. So from that night on, except for the folks in the house that I lived with, everyone called me Rick. And so I was, you know, that's why I started really calling Rick Jack, right? Because, anyway. So she, takes me through the hospital and shows me around, and it's like really interesting and a bit scary. If you've ever seen the movie Oh Lucky Man, where Malcolm gets stuck for a meal to be an experiment, she takes me and she shows me chimeras, half human, half animal, half snake, half bird. I mean, and this was down in the basement, and I said, so your father was telling me about how he kind of knows what's going on, but doesn't want to know. You seem to know you've been read in. And she goes, well, not read in per se, but and I said, so you didn't sell your soul to the devil? And she kind of says, no, I didn't do that. I'm a good Catholic girl. And I said, oh, okay. Um, so I said, well, this is interesting, but why don't we go up and go out on that veranda and look at the stars? I think that's way more interesting than this. And she said, yeah, let's go up. So we did. And we went on the veranda and we talked about all kinds of stuff. I mean, this girl was quite interesting. Really she was special. And anyway, so we talk about art, politics, philosophy, history, what's going on here and what's really going on. And she has a pretty good 411, not on the kind of particulars that the master and I talked about. But she was like, anyway, so we have a really nice 2 hours. The party is starting to wind down. One of the servants comes and says, a doctor, your father's looking for you. Rick, Madame is looking for you. She wants to go home. She's had a very pleasant evening, and it's ready to go. I said, I'm ready to go. And we walk in, and again, everyone kind of sees Regina and I walk in, and everyone kind of goes, mm-hmm. And she goes, well, what are you having for breakfast tomorrow? And I said, how about lunch? And she goes, why don't we meet at the lawyer's spot? And I said, fine, sounds like a good idea. I'll see you there. And so I walked there, and so did she. And we had a very nice lunch, and we talked more. And she goes, I haven't been by the club. Can we go there now? I got nothing to do this afternoon. I said, fine. So, we walk over to, about the mile and a half to my fishing house where my little car is, and we get in the car and we drive over there, and it's pretty much all done, right? And the chef is getting his thing together, and I have found a manager of the bar, a very smart, beautiful woman who was part of the family of the Fisher family, but she was running the lawyer's restaurant, so she's going to run everything bar. We have about 6 bars and everything, right? And she's kind of, I can see she and the chef are kind of hitting it off there. And so, the guy who was the chef's boss, that's where we get all our meat and all our everything from. Because he's the man. He's got about 10, 20 restaurants in Rio and all the other cities around Brazil. Anyway, and he was the meat guy. So we had the vegetables down, we had the fruits and the pastries. I got the lady mother who was taking care of me. She was a great bake, and her three daughters were bakers, so they got a job at the place using the kitchen to bake. They were the bakers. They baked the bread, they baked the pies, they baked all the cookies, all the everything bakeable. They baked, and I got them a paycheck of $20 a day, right? $140 a week. Three of them. Yeah, mom, two daughters. And so that's like almost $500 a week into that household that normally ran on 60 cents, And so between my newest friend, Regina, and my fisherman family and a few other people I knew, I put the word out we needed staff, waiters, busboys, all of the above. More people to work in the kitchen, to work behind the bars, and to do service work, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I drive down with Regina, first time she's seen the place, and there's all the kind of people running around, messing around, doing all kinds of stuff, and being interviewed by all the other people that I got in there to manage this, that, and the other thing. And I'm just kind of, everything going good? Good, good, right? Anyway, so I walk her through the whole place, show her everything, and upstairs in the back, I have an apartment, right? So if things go late, I don't have to, make it over to the Fisher place, even though it's only 3 miles away. I could just go upstairs. If I want to have a meeting, it's like I called it my office, but it was an apartment, very nice apartment. And we have the stage, we have the covered beach where everyone dances, and next to that was what had been the construction shed, turned it into a very nice green room place, little apartments where people who visited could stay, where the staff could stay. The chef had his own little apartment built on the back of the kitchen because he really didn't, he just wanted to. It was beautiful. The beach is there. It's gorgeous. It's all this amazing foliage. Things grow there like 100 times better than what grows in Florida. So anyway, so it's truly amazing, and they are all. And the thing that everyone loves is that, yeah, I'm Rick. My name's on the building, but I'm not. I told everyone as I hired each one that we're a team. This is. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I expect you to be creative and do what you love to do and do it the best, and that's what I want you to do. Tell me about what you're doing. Get my input, but I'm not telling you what to do. You run the place, not me. I'm just Rick. Everyone's Senor Rick, Mr. Rick, Dr. Rick. That's what I was known after the place got going. Again, not everyone called me Al, even the first 3 months that I was there. Anyway, and little Rick, who was Jack, basically everyone said, "What's your name?" "I'm Jack. I'm number one man." And he was. And he did a great job. He was like at 10, he was a great man. He just went around and got, the 411, what was going on, who was doing what, everything going down. He never was a bossy person. He just got the information and brought it to me. And then I would, individually go to the individuals and say, "So what are you doing and how are you doing it? And okay, or maybe we should try this. Maybe, what do you think?" And it was an amazingly organized, smooth running, money making machine, right? And so she's like, just amazed. She goes, the hospital doesn't run like this. And I go, yeah. He says, no, it's like, master is the king. All the other people are like vying for this. And I said, everyone's just doing what they love to do, doing it. And I said, yeah, you can see that, can't you? You're special. And she goes, let's take a walk on the beach. And I say, sure, let's take a walk on the beach. So we get ourselves each go to the bar, and the manager woman is like showing the bartenders how they want she wants this to be done, and how to make this, and everything has to, this is like theater, everything we do. And I kind of made that real clear that this whole thing is theater, right? Everything is theater. And so she's giving them that rap, and they're making coppa caprinas, right? So I we watch them make it, and I go, you don't have to throw that away. And I get like a ice bucket, and I pour all of the coppa caprinas, like 15 coppa caprinas in there, and I take two kind of not styrofoam, but plastic cups that won't, I don't want to bring glass. That's one of the little rules we had: no glass on the beach, because trying to pick up glass and sand is like, can't have that. So we got these hard plastic cups. So if you're drinking out on the dance beach, you had to have a plastic cup, right? So, and it had our logo and all that on it. And you got to keep it too. You bought a drink and went out on the beach. You got to keep, and you kept you were there for the night. It was like a rainbow cup. You kept it. You didn't get like 10 of those. You got one. And when you got your drink, they mix it. You put your cup out. They pour it in your cup. It was sanitary. We didn't have to clean it. There was no glass in the sand. I mean, it was all these positive things. Anyway, she's looking at all these very interesting little quirky things I'm having everything done. And she's constantly commenting that she can see how this is like all me, but not me. That and she used the term that I use a lot, egoless ego. She goes, your presence is predominant, but it's like you're invisible. I said, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. Anyway, so we had our bucket of coppa caprinas with our plastic cups, and we're knocking them back, and we're getting that buzz. And we're walking all the way down the other end, not towards the marina, but the other end, which is a good 10 miles. So we're taking it. And at that end, we let all of the feral oaks and all the plants that kind of grow through swamps and dunes and everything green and flowery. And you could, go off into those things and kind of be in the water, but we had hammocks you could take, and you could tie them up on those limbs and just kind of swing above the water, and then kind of roll into the water and go swimming. And it was quite nice. And so there was, we left, hammocks tied up there, and there was a box where you could get a hammock and go someplace where there wasn't a hammock. And the way the wind blew was, there was no garbage there, no feces, no anything that would draw insects. And the wind was constantly kind of blowing that end of the peninsula. And you don't want to be out there in a storm, but during most evenings and nights and days, it was just like having air conditioning and having a big fan. So there were no insects. Anyway, so we walk over there, and she goes, let's go swimming. And she just takes all her clothes off and jumps in the water. So I take all my clothes off and jump in the water. And we are splashing around, and she kind of swims up to me and cuddles herself around me. And she goes, I'm a bit of a cold person. I'm all science. I'm all surgery. I'm all business. But with you, I don't feel that way. I think you're going to be my boyfriend. I said, me? And she goes, yes. I've been watching you since you showed up here. Every man here screws every woman he can. Your friend Michael screws 10, 20 different women a day. And then he comes, sees me about whether he has AIDS, Anyway, and she goes, AIDS is not here. And I go, what do you mean? She goes, well, you know that it's a synthetic disease, right? As most diseases are. So, am I back? I was just disconnected for a moment. Or have I been talking? Yep, I'm back. Okay, so we're on the beach, right? Well, let's make sure we're on the same page here because this morning I told this story for 2 hours before I realized that I've been talking to no one. So I'm good, right? We're all good. We're okay. So almost 3 hours. So I'm gonna close up pretty soon. And tonight will be even more interesting. So she goes, "Yeah, you haven't really, I know you're not gay. I see you're attracted to women, but you're respectful and you're looking for someone special. I'm that person. And I've been all business and now it's time to open my heart to somebody." And I go, "Well, I'm ready for that." And I had lost my twin flame 2 years earlier. That's one reason I went to Brazil to get out of New York because being in New York was like everything I saw in New York reminded me of my love. So, sure, this is good medicine for me. So, we didn't do anything there. We kind of basically got up into one of these hammocks that the sun was hitting, and we just kind of snuggled and kissed a little bit and dried off, and then put on our clothes and went back. But that was when I met my girlfriend, and I have pictures of her. I'll show you one day. I'll show you pictures of the whole thing, the nightclub, the town, everything, Madam, the works. I've shown them a number of times, but whether you can find them or not. Anyway, so that's where we're 4 minutes from ending this, and well, let's look at some of your tweets here. Not tweets, chats. Boo, ba-doo, boo, boo. It is, buddy, but we don't have to get waxed. We have our little free will. And that's what tonight's going to be about. That choice of, like, getting waxed. Wax on or wax off. Well, so I grew up in Harlem in the 50s and 60s and kind of had these oil-fired boilers that they used, what oil called bunker oil. It was like, and so they would burn it, and depending on how many boilers they had cooking, they had all six going. No one went outside, and nobody put up laundry on the line. Right? If they only had two, you could run around outside, but it was just like what Beijing is today. So it's not like, and London had it really bad in the 1790s. Everybody was burning coal. And in the 50s, like 1,000 people, they have fog there, and either somebody slipped something into the fog, or it was just one of those perfect moments when the pollution and the fog and the this and the that killed about 20,000 people. Not all at once, but it killed about 20,000 people in London in the 1950s. Yep, don't live in fear. Yep, you don't have to. Yep, vitamin C. That's one of the best things you can take. Yep, calcium. Yep. There is no fear. That's true, buddy. Of course they are. get fug. Mushrooms. Okay. Yep, the stream tonight is at 7 p.m. Square, even though it's probably getting, what is it now? 4 or 5, something like that. Who knows? But yeah, 7 p.m. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take the story from there, where we left off. Me, new girlfriend, meeting the master, being the veil being lifted and shown what's going on there. I'm going to describe it in more detail on all the different elements of political, the unseen hand, the powers that shouldn't be, the sock puppets, and then the friendship that grew between the master and me, and what he wanted me to do, not to serve him, but the unexpected consequence. He wanted me to, he gave, not so much he wanted me to do it, but he gave me the access and the resources to manifest it. He didn't tell me what to do or how to do it or what to serve or any of the above. He just opened a bunch of doors so I could walk through them. Just like I did to you. When you're in your Akashic record and the 9 doors, that's kind of what he showed me. I mean, I was already in my Akashic record. I already had access to my superconscious mind and my sanctuary of my own choosing. But he showed me a number of other things. And again, it wasn't to serve Lucifer or Satan or him or anybody else. I was serving only one thing, and that was love's co-creation. And he knew that. And every time that he would, he never crossed the line. But sometimes he showed me things that were, and his cavalier attitude, and I would, anyway, but we stayed friends, and friends can do that. And so that's another lesson we're going to go at, is what is a friend, how do we keep a friend, and what's the value of a friend. Right? And we know that because we're all the cadre, we all are relations, we all are here on the chat, the chorus, and all those who go in state are the shock troops of love's co-creation. So say we all. So say we all. It's 5 p.m. Okay, 2 hours. I'll have a little something to eat and go on from there. So say we all. Love you guys. I'll see you in about 2 hours. 7 p.m., whatever that is.